We're going to call to order. The time is 6:35 on July 28th. Sam, when you do a roll call?
Councilmember Andy Perry.
Here.
Councilmember Susan Ledart.
Here.
Councilmember Kelly Carlson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Justin Boudreau.
Present.
And Angela King is arriving late.
Okay.
Mayor, you have a quorum and the meeting has been properly posted.
Okay, thank you. We're going to do the invocation and pledge. Heavenly Father, we gather today to talk about the budget of this city. It is very important that we become good stewards of the money that's entrusted in us and that we make wise use of that money. We ask you to be with us as we try to make these decisions and hopefully all for the benefit of the community and of your great plan. We ask this in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We don't have nobody for public comments, right? Oh, there's only one person.
Dan Rob, he said no.
No, Mayor, no public comments.
All right, so the next item is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is the regular city council minute meetings of 6/16 that was delayed for someone y'all needed more time to review it. Do I have a motion or any discussion?
This is the one that's in our regular binder. I read over it and I didn't find anything that was out of the ordinary, so I would make a motion to accept that.
Motion by Susan, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Justin to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, so now we're going to be on the new business. The first item on the new business is the 250th celebration for America's birthday. Basically, the discussion surrounds the amount of money that the 250 committee is asking to be, I would say, a no more than budget amount that we want to approve. And so the motion would be to approve the 250th anniversary celebration and to have $7,000 not to exceed.
Do we have any type of, is it done for discussion?
Yeah, it says discuss and
I don't
possible
have any
action.
information, but do we have any type of what they're trying to do?
Yes. Kelly's on it and I'm on it and we can both speak to it if you like, but there's a lot of activities and Kelly, if you want to speak to it?
Sure. So essentially we're bringing hometown, old country feel of a celebration. So we're bringing in kiddie rides, bounce houses, games and all kinds of stuff. We have gotten a lot of donations. Right.
Including somebody too.
Right. But I mean, if you're asking my opinion, we're not going to come anywhere close to 7,000. But we just in case, because we do have one donation that has not been accounted for yet. It's a sizable one, and so we're just kind of covering the bases. But if we get it, probably won't need any money from the city.
They've been very good. Of course, y'all know Angela. She can talk ice to sell ice and Eskimo. But we have most of the things we picked.
I bought the ice, thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have a
Snow
date?
cones.
Do we have a date?
Yes, September 6th.
It's a Sunday, Labor Day weekend Sunday.
It should be.
4 to 8.
Did Angela put it out on Facebook? Okay.
She did, but it was wrong. I
Saved the date.
texted her last night to fix it.
Where is
Okay.
it being held?
It's being held at Daly Park.
Daily Park, yeah.
Do we need security? Extra security?
We have to figure that
How
out.
about that?
I don't think we have that one figured.
Okay.
But we know the constable.
I'm just asking.
That's a good point.
That's a good question.
We'll ask that.
Because it's not just for Simonton, right? It's,
Oh, it is.
Everybody
But
supposedly.
it's just Simonton.
It's going to run you like $50 an hour probably.
but not anybody, I mean, other outside cities can't come?
They can, but we're keeping it very centralized to here. Like we will have a apple pie baking contest, and the mayor Fulcher is one of the judges, so word's liable to get out.
So yeah, he's liable to.
Can I
So-
make an apple pie?
Yes?
Yes, you can.
I don't know. Can you?
Can you? That's a good one, Justin.
So Dave,
I was
Daily
just
Parks
asking
and
if-
It's the other parts in New Park, right, and the pavilion's done, the restrooms are done, I mean, a lot of it's coming along fine.
Yeah, Angela did a great job in setting up sponsorships, so.
And not only that,
All
we
the
have, in the committee, we have a lady who's so creative, whatever, she has this gigantic banner that she got from TikTok.
Oh, Paloma.
Oh, Paloma
And it
Hill
is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable for the price too. And so it's coming along real well as far as the
Awesome.
individuals and
My only question is, I don't need all the detail because I trust everybody doing it. Which line item is it coming out of?
Yeah,
so we have several line items that could come, but the biggest one is contingency. We have 22,000 there that's not been
And we
touched.
haven't even touched it
Touched
until
it,
August 1st, more or less.
Right.
So I'll make a motion to not to exceed $7,000 for the 250th celebration.
Motion by Andy, second.
I'll second.
Okay, we'll use Kelly this time. We have a motion by Andy, seconded by Kelly, to provide up to $7,000 for the 250 celebration of America's birthday.
Do I need to amend that so it says out of the contingency line item, contingency line item, or no?
No, I don't think you do, because when we go to pay bills, it just comes out of the
Okay.
cash
Making
account, and
sure.
then we put it in fund view to where it needs to come from to take it from.
Just make-
Need a
It won't
budget
even be,
adjustment.
it won't even be a budget now. It's just gonna be where we
No,
take
it's
it.
just moving one. I would have it come out of community outreach. I would take money from contingency and put it
Transfer
in
it to-
If we
Yeah.
need to,
community
yes.
outreach, because for tracking purposes,
That's right.
we want
I
to
like that.
know,
yes.
Yeah, perfect. I
what do
think
we do
that's
for
great.
community outreach? If we take it out of contingency, it's not going to
Then it's
show
like,
up
what was it for?
What's in community outreach right now?
Not much.
very much.
Like 3,000 or
I'm
something?
just curious.
Well, here's a whole objective, not need much of anything.
Right.
So they're doing a great job, and if that's the objective, it becomes a moot point, but suffice to say, when you pass the motion, we can go up to 7,000 if we have to,
Not to
and we
exceed.
have a process by which we will move funds if necessary.
Yeah,
And that's
take
all
out
normal
That's what
business.
community reach is for, so
Right.
this is
Just
250 years. So
Yeah.
It ain't, I won't be around that time.
You won't be around.
Right now, in the
I won't be-
administration, there's 2,600
Yes.
left in community outreach.
Okay.
So that's why,
So if
just
that
to be
other
sure.
big,
out of there.
that other big sponsor comes in, then that's probably more than enough. Probably need-
Probably.
Okay.
There might be more.
It could
come up.
very well be enough,
Okay.
right by, yeah. So just understand, the whole objective of the committee is to not spend much money, but do a great job. I mean, it's gonna be first class. And as far as, we're not gonna shut out outside people, but we are advertising more to just, it's a City of Simonton celebration. Now, the same people who came, I mean, we had, at the POA, we had probably, what, 150 people there?
People there, yeah.
I would hope all of those people come. I mean, that's all Simonton. So, okay, so, did we take
Debate
the
them
vote?
open in a second, now we need
Right.
to go for a vote.
Any other discussion? Proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes 4-0. Okay, so item B is truth and taxation calculations. What you have in your book is the sheet right behind the blue sheets. Behind it. I guess is the next tab. I'm supposed to read this, it says to record, receive the above information into the minutes. And what we've received is submission of 2026 tax year appraisal roll and new property value. And that's all we have to do in that, is to read it into the minutes. The next page is 2026 truth and taxation calculations. And we're going to record this into the minutes as being 2026 anticipated collection rate is 100%, 2025 collection rate is 97.44, 2024 collection rate was 86.7, and 23 actual collection rate was 114.62. Excess debt calculations was 0 because we have no debt.
Okay.
Now we can go to, the rest of the information here is from the chief appraiser, showing market value, etc. Which is, y'all can read at any time because It's just going to be reiterated in the blue pages you have up front is where it actually, the rubber hits the road and gives you the real information. So we received this information from them over time, and some of it was actually come in April, then modified again in July, and so it's best to just give it all out right now. We're not expecting any changes because the appraisal district has said, other than the contested ones, they're done. And that's why they're able to produce the sheets we have up front, which I'm just amazed at that we got it this early, so we need to take advantage of that. The next section is talking about deadlines when the tax rate does not exceed voter approval rate. So in that, and I think we're going to end up hopefully publishing on the calendar these dates so that everybody will know them. Sunday, March 29th was a financial statement from Municipal Audit View. We all know what happened to that, right? Saturday, July 25th, the tax rolls review, and then Friday, August 7th, the tax rate submitted to City Council. That was actually done and posted, right, Cheyenne, on the door, which said a lot of nothing because we didn't have the information. So we complied with it, but it has to be changed as we go forward. Now, you really get all the way to September because in between those two times, there's two things happening. One is the tax rate that we ultimately have to do, but the real work is the budget. So I like to say that you're really going to have two separate things pushing us, and one is the tax rate, and that has time. And you really can't establish whether it's going to be no new revenue or the voter approval rate, or if this council decides to go all the way above the de minimis. I mean, that's going to be council decisions, right? And so all I'm saying is we're going to present the information, and we're going to work the budget. And as we work the budget, I have some things to mention there, but then we're going to get down to what do we want in it? And what do we want to spend it on? That kind of thing. So these deadlines are important, but understand that that's all speaking more to the tax rate and the hearings and everything in adoption. So that's a lot of time. When you look at September 29th, really, we end our fiscal year on the 30th. So you have to adopt the tax rate by then so that they can send out the tax bills to all of us, which we're all looking forward to, right? So when it exceeds the voter approval rate, now you have a new set of dates. You have the March 29th stayed the same. You have July 18th to file a proposed budget. And then the budget cover page, tax rolls due July. Well, I guess we missed those pretty much, but August 7th is the submitted rates to the City Council, the minimum rate or tax rate calculation. So if you go to the no new revenue rate, we'll know which dates we now have to hit, which one of these things we have to submit.
So, just to clarify, basically, if we wanted to go beyond the 3.5%, we would have already had to publish all that, and it would have already had to have been discussed.
Yes and no, but yes, it should have been, but no, if the council decides we want to go above that, to the de minimis, whatever, it's within your right. And so the dates, we would have to just start pushing out and saying the tax rate has till September to be published. So last year, we were late, but we made it into the September time frame and to publish the tax rate. And we did it back to back, just get it done. So hopefully this year, with the decisions that the council makes, we don't have to go that far. That's the hope. All right, so you have all of that information.
And we were late to the appraisal district.
You didn't get this blue sheet till August 18th last year. And August 17th is budget adoption, so
yeah.
there's just no way.
Yeah, it wasn't a council action, it was a county action, appraisal district action.
Right, so in the meantime, the council was working on budgets, but without the tax rate to try to make the final thing we do on the budget is actually take the ad valorem amount and then say, okay, now we're going to balance the budget. Because you don't have your true ad valorem amount until you decide on the tax rate, right? But that's the only part. Everything else, income, expenses, that's can be decided and developed.
So this is saying that by Monday the 10th, we have to have a proposed tax rate approval from council?
So the proposed tax rate that we published already was the no new revenue rate.
Which is 3.5%.
Which is we started with 28113 if you remember. Now, we did not have the blue sheets, so that's all you could say. We're starting at 28113, which is the same rate you had before. The assumption there is that you have the same valuation as you had before. which we know is not true. So the valuation went up.
Well, but without voter approval, council can raise that rate by 3.5% per calendar
Which is
year.
really comes back, I think you could look at it to the new revenue rate. I mean, the voter
Right, yes.
approval rate.
Yes.
And that's
That
where we are.
August 10th
Correct.
date is also, and you may have just said this, but that's only a deadline for when the tax rate exceeds the voter approved rate.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So
I was making sure that-
3.5% increase is just something that would be discussed on the table and you wouldn't have to go into anything additional.
Correct.
Okay,
So,
just a question.
now, the next part of this is to start the budget workshop. And to start the budget workshop, I got it with this here, but I want to give a little bit of a vision of how I see this. And so, what we're going to use. We all got the second quarter financials that showed you how much cash and where the cash is, right? So we have cash. And then we all got the CDRs that showed you what you have basically in an interest-bearing area, taxable interest-bearing area, Wallace Bank, zero, just money. Money, just money, doing nothing. So y'all already approved that I could take Wallace Bank and go get some interest. We're gonna do that. And so we're gonna do that and now start to get interest on 180,000 that we've got no interest on for years. So that's good, that's a good thing. So the thing about interest is, that's where our CDRs and all is, that's our highest interest, 3.5% we can get. So when you're talking about doing investment policy and financial fiduciary responsibilities, your job is to get as maximum input interest as possible from the monies that the city owns. So the intent is to take money in and get the highest interest we can with as much money as we can. Now what that means is you now have a cash account over here. Let's just call it the cash account. Every time a bill comes in, Stacy hits that cash account, the ICS account, she pays the bills. So over the year, we're going to use that cash account to pay the bills. Well, if you go back a year or even two, we've always had an ample cash. Matter of fact, we have an over amount of cash in the cash account. Because the state rules are you only have to have 6 months of true operating expense that you have to have there to operate, because money's still coming in that you just approved the new rate, right? So what we have is we have a flow of money in coming into the cash account. We have a flow of money out going out of the cash account. Now, think about that as just, okay, that's just the flow of money, pay our bills. What bills are we paying? We're paying our budget bills. So when we create the budget, we're saying that's our bills. That's our bills we're going to approve to go get done, and we're going to break it down, and we're going to itemize it, everything else. And so what I like to do is to say, okay, when you're looking at the budget and you're all establishing the budget and what you want to spend, consider the fact that you have cash in surplus. You have cash in surplus, and that's not your interest-bearing stuff. This is cash, 1.2 million. It's too much. And so my intent is at some point in time to move some of that money to 3.5%, because it's getting 1.2. And so if we know, for instance, an easy example, we have, let's say I take 500,000 out of the cash account because we don't need it, we know we got money coming in, and I put it in a CDR at 3.5%, but we think maybe we're going to do some roads and we want to take the money back out. So what you do is you say 16 weeks, bring it back. When it matures, you bring it back. Anytime a CDR matures, if I don't say reissue a CDR, it goes to cash. So that's the process, right? So now that we understand that there's cash, but we're not maximizing interest, we want to start doing that. Okay. And basically, y'all give me the authority to do that, and I intend to do it. And I've talked to the banks already, and we're going to start to proceed as soon as we can, with everything else going on.
So the CDs are 16 weeks?
No.
Or
You
CDRs.
decide 13, you can go as low as a 4-week CD.
But the intent is to go.
As max.
Max, right.
Max.
So okay, so rephrase. So max is
Yes.
16 weeks.
So if you looked at
Otherwise you redo it.
the report I gave y'all on the quarterly report, it says what those CDs are, 13 weeks, maybe at 26 weeks. I don't think we put any of them in there for a year, because you don't know what interest rates are going to do. So you help you first manage the interest rates, because they're going out to those banks to make sure that we're covered as far as the 250, whatever. So they split it out to the banks to get the maximum rate, to report to us the one rate, 3.5. But they're actually managing all of this, and that's their job, that's what they do. So that's how that works, and it's to our benefit. that we don't have to talk to them every day. We talk to them when the CDR is about to mature. I just had some, and we just said reinvest. So that's done. Because we knew we didn't need that money.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that a lot more money can be put in 3.5% than just sitting around. But we're not going to cut ourselves short because we have an opportunity that says you can bring any of them back in 13 weeks if you need it, or even sooner if we decide to do it.
Is there a penalty to bring it back sooner?
None.
Okay.
CDR matures is all ours. And so I also questioned, what is our coverage? What is our coverage? So I asked Melody, and I can have her back here to give us a presentation like she did a year or so ago. Melody, if I move $180,000 into your bank, and I just move it into cash, and my coverage, she said you're covered for $50 million for ICS accounts. I said, okay, that's good enough. I'm not gonna reach that. So talk to me about
What do you mean, so,
insured,
okay.
separate from FDIC. Our ICS accounts are insured. So I said, okay, now we got all of our CDARS accounts. How insured am I there? She says 20 million. I said, okay, so I'm going to bring you back. You're going to give a presentation to the council so we get very comfortable with the monies and not having to be punished or worry about a bank that fails someplace. All right, and so that's the way that's going to work. I tell you all of this so that we're all comfortable as we move forward with money. And then we start to do our budget, and our budget is just focused on what do y'all want to do. Now, I didn't actually want to put this out, but a lot of research has been done to help us with budgets. In the past, we've used terminologies here, terminology there, unencumbered, reserve, whatever. So we all know that I just made a change on restricted. Road money coming in is now restricted into its own account, into New First, and it cannot be used for nothing but restricted for roads. And it's called road maintenance, which means you can do minor, you can do major, you can do whatever you want from that money. But it's guaranteed that 1/4 cent is going there.
Right.
It also does not mean if you wanted to add money to it, you could. But if you get too much money there, it's going to go into a CDAR that comes back to that to get 3.5. And so you have the quarterly report, you can see how much money is there, and if you have any feedback for me, please give it back to me on that. But I'm probably the person, and this was not, I was intending to maybe hand it out, maybe not, now I'm going, we need to hand it out. You can read this later, you don't need to read it tonight because we're gonna have other stuff to do, but I really would like y'all to read and comment on these, pass it down. Because it's using our budget, it's using legislative code, and it's doing an analysis of what we should do and how we should do it. And the biggest problem I had that I called Fund View on, I'm saying, look, you say we have a $3 million budget. We do not have a $3 million budget. We have $1.5 million in the grant, right? But it looks like we have more money or we're doubling up, and that's not true. So how the hell do I handle that to show people the true budget? So she said, what you're supposed to do is put a debit and a credit and have it wash itself out. And I said, okay, that kind of makes sense. She says, but if you're really going to do what you really want to do is to put it into a special fund and take it off. When you read that, it's going to tell you how you would take it off. And it's in the latter pages to make your own register of unencumbered funds, what we would call before unencumbered funds. Truly, everything has to have a project to it. Everything has to have a reason to exist. We can't just say, I want $200,000 for roads. Okay, well, that's good. When are you going to do that project? Is it really going to be encumbered, really, truly, only spent for that? Then you really want to put it on the side and say, we're not spending for anything else. It's just like it's being restricted, right? So that nobody else touches it, no matter what happens. That's what we have to do from a standpoint of solidifying the budget. So if y'all will read that and have any questions, fire back at me, but you don't have to do it now. There's just a lot to absorb. All right?
Well, I think we kind of started that with restricted and the roads. We were covering some more money.
Well, yeah, we have
last year to this year.
We have actually gone a good ways, Andy, and we've gone a good ways only because, we got Watson, and I called and asked him if he's going to be our auditor again. He hasn't come back yet. Because I think they did a good job and caught things. And with him knowing that he gave us a clean audit finally, we should be able to start with much better position and hopefully lower cost.
But how many years have they been doing our
This is, they only did 1 year.
okay. Because typically you should do like
Breedlove didn't want to do this
max.
anymore, they
3 to
fired
5
us.
max.
We got fired.
That's okay.
And then we
If we can
hired.
find them.
Yeah.
Because with the new state regs, they're buried. If you wanna make some money, start a
Yes.
audit company, because
Well,
there's not enough of them.
Exactly, well, that's the deal too, is like obviously, we're not gonna be like an Enron, but that's what happens when you have the same
Yeah,
auditor
I
for too many years in a row.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah, so we needed Breedlove to do the 5 years or 6 years catch-up, because we didn't have audits, and so we have to catch up, and so now we caught up. And we got a clean audit now, and so with the clean audit, the next guy picking it up should say, it's a clean audit, I can pick up from there,
Yep.
and not have a million questions. And if it's the same auditor, I'm thinking we can at least use him 3 to 4 years, and then say, okay, probably need to change. So we'll keep that in mind. But he hadn't answered me yet, and I'm asking early, right? Because he wouldn't even start work until after September or so,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm asking early to committee, to get him to commit. And if he does, I'll bring it to council and say, hey, we have a
Well,
commitment.
it'd be nice if he does, because they may end up raising prices, there's not enough of them, so if it was my business, I'd be upping my price.
Yeah, and we need to know what that is to put in the budget.
Yeah. To put it, exactly.
I think we might have a higher figure in the budget already. Because okay, by the way, when we get into the actuals, I have actually already gone through and put figures in to some of the items, because I just knew that's what we're gonna throw in there, upgrade to. Feel free to question any of those, and then, come back and change them if you need to, because at this point in time, this budget is yours. Yours.
Well, and with this, it doesn't give me a lot of information.
Correct.
So, a lot of it I can figure out pretty quick.
But what I'm asking is, all of you received the current budget, 25-26, right? And all of you received should have received another calculation from FundView.
This is all
We had the payments. Okay. So we're
Just
taking.
recently or from our last council meeting?
I think I should have brought my nerd calculator.
Help me.
That was in the last council package.
Yes. So that's the problem. Your books are all not here.
Books are up there. I use a reverse notation HP. I'm left-handed, everything's backwards, but I have to use my phone right now. That's fine.
Okay, so the next step I want to take though is to let's go all the way back to something we can talk about, which is the chart of accounts. It's the last section. There was some discussion from some people about either changing anything on the chart of accounts. I'll tell you that in 12902, which is page 3,
On the working budget?
Chart of
accounts. So on page 3, I took 12902 and 2903, which is the EDC 4A and 4B. I made them inactive. We won't be using this. We're going directly to EDC, their 2 accounts. The money goes directly to them. Remember, we used to put it here and then transfer it multiple steps.
To do that.
So I got with Peacock, he says, just get rid of them. I'll call FundView, he says, you go in and make it inactive. You just make it inactive.
Yeah.
It's gonna show on this year, but it won't ever show again afterwards, because they can't take it off of.
So you're talking about the general fund?
you don't wanna take it.
General
Yes,
fund comp?
yes.
Okay.
So
So
they just
what about
ignore those two.
2912 and 2913, is that the new ones?
So if it's due to them, but all of that, it's gone. It's not.
So 02
So that way, there is a
13.
process, Stacy. When you first get the money for the EDCs, you transfer it directly into the 200 and the 300 accounts in FundView.
Yes.
So when you don't need to go through 100, you're not going to go through 100.
Yeah, here's some.
These are used for, we need to probably have 2 of them saved because they're used for journal entries. So they're kind of like a placeholder situation because it's a lot, the 2,000 numbers are liabilities. So if we have to do a journal entry, we have to have an account liability to move it from and put it, so it balances.
Okay, so
Does that make
it's a
sense?
Peacock question.
Yeah,
So I killed the first 2.
right, you probably, and there was duplicates, I don't know why.
Okay.
But
Well, maybe that's
you probably
fine.
need to keep the second 2.
Okay. And so, I don't think I actually had any other changes from me on this that I saw. So, if any of you had looked at the journal entries and had any questions on it or changes, and include you, Stacy, if you have any?
Yeah, I have a list.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to go over it with Peacock though.
Okay.
So next budget meeting, we'll have.
Yeah, that's not for now. This is just, this
I also
is
intend to bring,
housekeeping.
Yeah.
I also intend to bring, depending on how deep we go into things, Peacock here. So they're in Dallas, costing a little bit of money, but I think it's going to be important for everybody to see them face to face and ask the questions on the money and the funds and the journal entries, because if you remember, one of the things we had a problem with for the last audit that we couldn't complete in time and they had issues with was that it was not all reconciled. And so I can run a reconcilement report. We can run a reconcilement report right now. And so we've been looking at that a lot closer and having Peacock, I called them, I said, look, these three are not reconciled in the bank, so you're gonna have to reconcile them. And they got it. They got one of the EDCs caught up, they got one of, I don't know, sales tax on one of their accounts, but I'm watching them closely. That when John comes in and he sees everything reconciled, there's no questions. He just looks at the bank balance, he looks at the actuals, and he can go check, check, check. That's what I'm hoping.
Thank you, Stacy.
It took some time to get that done, and
Been a
yes,
long year.
you can thank Stacy, because Stacy's done a good job of getting us caught up and making the payments on time and pushing me to pay the payments
It's been a long year.
and to pay payroll. So
Thank you for
I do
being my
that.
timely paychecks.
So are you getting them
Appreciate
trained
that.
good, properly then?
I am trained. Trust me, those two ladies over there.
We are working together.
And it's not that difficult. FundView, New First is easy to work with. FundView is now easy to work with. They weren't always, but they're easy to work with right now. And they're willing to help us and train us and whatever else. So we're getting good support and we're getting the right answers. And the only holes I have is I got to get Peacock really aligned with us. And then John Watson aligned with us to be our auditor. And then I think we're going to be in great shape.
When the chart of accounts was first created, remember, this was years ago, because we moved from, what's the other software? QuickBooks. We moved from QuickBooks to FundView. So this, when the chart of accounts was created, it was more or less like a boilerplate chart of accounts. It didn't necessarily tailor to the city's needs. So, and it wasn't meant to stay as a boilerplate, it was meant to be more tailored and have some more meat to it and fit what we're doing and where we want to go. Your chart of accounts should match kind of what your vision is for the city, so make sure you have Public Works in it, make sure we have a PD in it, all those kind of different departments that we want to have. And right now, it kind of doesn't, and it has superfluous stuff that we don't need. And so that's where Peacock will come in and help us figure that out.
And Kelly, you had mentioned about this stuff and the EDCs that you're going, what the heck is this, what the heck is this, right? So if you want to discuss that, we can, and then we can make notes to either get them validated or eliminated, whatever, make them inactive, those type of things. So if you go through and say, well, this is what EDC really needs, and that's for you too. And this is what the chart of accounts or codes are, then let's change them. And now's the time, because once we settle this in the correct mode and we do the budget to the correct lines, it's going to be a lot easier for Stacy and everybody else to keep it all in check.
Stacy, you may be able to answer this question. Eric threw on me, I don't know, a few weeks ago, well, EDCB has XYZ amount of money, and I'm going, no we don't. I've only ever known of approximately $75,000. And, I see that, but where is that? And why do I not see it when doing the budget?
I'm going to let Eric take that question.
So what you got was the report that says, here's your physical cash. It's in there, kind of, it's cash, right? Not debatable. You have that cash.
Not the Cedar.
And that cash has been accumulated over the years from the deposits that sales tax makes. That's your income.
That, I know that.
Okay, so you got $99,000 on the budget. That's a lot of money. So when you think you have 75, you got 99 coming to you this year. So accumulate that for a few years, and that cash account is built up by us putting that money into the cash account. It doesn't go into the general fund, it doesn't go into 100, it goes into 300, it goes into 200.
Yeah, I thought you had.
You spent, you tapped.
We might have over.
But I'm sorry, guys, we can't hear you.
No, she's saying you have over five, that there's over
572. Y'all have, all of y'all have the report.
It's in there.
EDCA has more money than we thought we knew. I
Yep.
mean, I had no idea, and I'm on EDCA.
So
I'm like,
I can't,
Because we were working on less than like 60 something, 60 or
We
70
were working
thousand,
off like 120,
120.
right? That's what I
All I
thought.
can say to
We had way
y'all-
more
But they
than
were
that.
working off of
We have like
what
over
we got that
300.
year.
yeah.
So between the two EDCs, there's like close to $800,000.
So
Which
900.
one was it?
Yeah, for the EDCs to spend.
I know y'all didn't know this, and I'm gonna explain something. Previous administration, when everybody was talking about EDC, it was always budget talk. It was never. And when you even got your quarterly reports, you saw in quarterly reports, you never saw the cash account. You did get a report, and you remember me on this corner always hollering, because I couldn't believe what I saw.
Well, then
But
there's got to be more money than $3 million sitting in all of our accounts.
4.2, I think, is the figure. Y'all have the
Because
figure.
800,000 of that for EDCs is
In our book.
like a quarter of it.
Cheyenne,
That don't even make sense.
Can you sign it to me first? Thank you. And then we're gonna put it up there, because this is important.
Because we've never seen those numbers like that.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm all about transparency, and I am not gonna hide a damn thing from y'all.
Mayor,
And
Because
it's gonna show the account
I'm
number.
sure the account.
Oh, yeah, we don't want to
You
do
don't
that.
want that.
You don't want to record that.
No.
Well, I can get,
who has to leave the room for us to do it?
No,
Because
we're
that's
recording,
live.
we're recording.
That's why.
Oh, got it.
well, I'll pull it up from our last,
Yes.
then our last stuff. Because I mean, I looked through it, but I guess I wasn't looking for.
Let's look, I didn't know.
That-
One of the books has the page, the long page, or
Yeah.
actually I printed it on individual pages too.
Breakdown.
Yeah, I saw it, but it's just
Okay.
like, that was like exponential from what we thought we had.
Right.
All I can tell you is it's absolutely factual. I can run your report straight from the bank, for all of those accounts, and show you the money's there.
So it's just sitting in Cedars.
Yes.
And,
You have one CDR.
okay, but that's where that additional money that I didn't know we had,
Is in
that's where that
CDRs,
is.
and no, it's in an ICS account also. An ICS account is your holding pen for where I'm
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
write checks out of.
But that's that 99,000, which we knew about that.
No, 99,000 is what's coming in this year.
That's your annual.
He's gonna get 49.7, and she gets twice that amount.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you're saying those numbers, you're talking about what's going to come in, not what we have.
Correct.
You're correct. So when I say 99,000 is coming in this fiscal year, by the end of September, if the sales tax estimates were all correct, she gets 99,000, and he gets 49.7, okay? Now, that's working budget money for this year. That's what you would run your working budget on, and spend it all. Because what you have is you have a CDR, and then you have cash accounts. So that's why I'm saying, y'all need to understand that you have this cash. You have this cash, period. You have interest-bearing accounts, period. And then you have your working budget, which is planned money to come in, revenue and your expenses, okay? Think of them as three different buckets. What you didn't know was your cash account.
Right.
You knew your budget,
Right.
you knew your expected income.
Yep.
And obviously, I'm sorry, you just didn't know the cash account. But now you do. And so now you have a lot more options on
Spending money. Doing
what you can
stuff.
do.
I'm surprised TDEC hasn't come back after I submitted our reports. They haven't come back and said, what are you doing with all this money? Because we're supposed to spend it.
So y'all may not know, she has to submit a report to TDEC, right? It says the amounts, and I saw those pages and I went, who produces this?
Especially if it's sales tax coming in for a specific line item.
Has to be.
But EDCs are supposed to spend the taxpayer dollars when they're coming in a certain amount of time. You're supposed to expend it
What's that certain amount of time?
quicker than what we're spending it.
A lot quicker than we're spending it. Okay, so,
We can wipe back into the general fund end of the year.
I mean, because the only thing that we, both
Yeah.
committees have is zoning. And, so what do we need to do?
what do you need to do? Okay, I'm gonna propose something at that point. I'm gonna propose that EDCA and EDCB meet with me and Phil and go over what EDCA and EDCB should be doing explicitly, what we should be doing, and let's try to take some actions on that. Because your question is, I didn't know I had all this money. Okay, you have all this money, so what do you want to do? You still got to do a project plan, you still got to submit it to council, we still have to approve it, right? And then we've had discussions before, Kelly, you know, I've been one of the vocal ones saying, you can't spend that money for that, but let's talk about what we can spend it
I
on.
don't think EDC money has to be approved through council.
No, they are
No, but
independent.
there's regulations the state.
But there is a,
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to have a governing.
you have to have a project brought to us, say, I'm gonna do this project, it's gonna cost this much.
Right,
So you can do that in your budgeting and then, hey, we're gonna do a project
yeah.
for X
I mean, we
amount.
did a little small project, but
So,
we need to do bigger projects.
absolutely. All right, so I'll give you all this information so that you're now empowered to look at what you can do and start to dream maybe a little bigger than you could dream before. We would hope. All right, so on a,
Yeah.
okay. No questions?
Well, I guess the quick question is, what's the core of each EDC? I don't need a whole play-by-play, but, so we have money for zoning, let's get it done through the EDC.
They can't do that. We're actually taking it out
It's a
of
city.
general funds.
A city money.
It's already allocated.
Well, I know.
Some of it.
The cash that we're sitting on, is it?
What?
From the EDCs? But it's already, didn't we, we've already budgeted for the,
Like 150,000 or whatever, or 180 or whatever it was. So the EDCs will cover the residual.
Right.
Yeah, I know that. And zoning is economic development.
There's borderlines on,
Yeah.
the reason why I gave you this other document
she
for you to read later is
You
to,
can, you can't, right?
right, because I have to do it for business.
y'all
Yeah, but it's
passed,
more
y'all
for
passed,
businesses and-
you know y'all passed a resolution that he can do anything she can do.
It was a one-time.
It was for one time? Was it?
I'd have to look, let me look at the stuff.
You need to look at it because my understanding it was not.
It was a
Was it-
one-time
It
thing.
was for doing what? To do what?
It was to do the one,
Was it not for the stuff next door?
it's for the building.
To
Yeah.
finish ARPA?
That's what it was for. But I'll.
Did you run short on ARPA or you go over?
Yeah, like
We
78,000 or something like that.
We added the bathroom and a couple other things over.
Okay, so now that's a problem for me because ARPA's not closed. And I've been being pressured by outside forces on crap that I have through data. I have to go dig up data and try to close that grant, right? So every grant has to have a closure point where you say, here's what I actually spent and I spent all my money. ARPA was money given and then we just spent it. The new ones, you don't get the money. It's like the new MITMOD, right? You're not getting any money until it's done and you prove you did something and then it comes to
Did the work, then you.
Right, so that's why I had to establish the other accounts at first. It says, this is MITMOD, you can't do anything else with it, the money has to come into it, and then she's gonna move it out of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, right? So I had to put some money in it to open the damn account. So some money is in it, we're gonna come in with money, we're gonna go out with money. I do not have that finished because Peacock has to do journal entries, we have to move money and do a few other things, that's gonna take a little bit of time.
I can't remember how much the money was, but yeah, it came from B to help
If
it.
either one of y'all can give me that information, it would help. Look
You
up-
would
look
have
up-
it?
I said if either one of y'all could, I said it would help. I didn't say I couldn't do it. It would be nice to have some help. If y'all did it, then you should have a record of it.
Yeah, I'll have to look at my notes. I mean,
Okay.
it's not something I just carry around with me.
And then the other research is Stacy, of course, with payments. We can pull a payment report on anything.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it was approved by council and all that,
It
and
was budgeted, it was,
the council before this.
So, okay, another important thing you need to know, because I'm sure you don't quite understand. We passed, I guess I was on the council, we said we're gonna take some $93,000 out of tax pool, put on roads. 200,000 here, 93,000 there, it was all of this talk, right? I'll guarantee you, not one penny has moved anywhere. Not one penny. So if your intent was an immediate movement of $93,000 out of tax pool, out of an interest-bearing account, into an account that's just gonna get 1.25. Didn't happen. And it's probably good it didn't happen yet. So what I'm proposing to you is, forget that. You got million. You got a lot of money there to pay for roads if you want to do roads. Is it going to come from the cash account? Is it going to be replenished by money coming in? And if you need money after that to do whatever you decide to do as far as spend, it's going to come out of cash account into your budget account.
But I don't think we can just forget what council has already
Right, and so
approved.
what we're going to probably have to do, if it was a resolution, we're going to have to pass a new resolution voiding that. That's what I'm proposing. If you want to leave it that way, I'm going to go transfer $93,000 out of text group, which is getting quite a bit of interest, guys.
Yeah, I don't think that's something that's part of this particular meeting.
Okay, so
That's a
is
whole
that okay
different-
to say we're going to put a resolution to reverse that decision if it was a resolution?
Well, yeah, but I think it was just, we're gonna use this money in the budget to put more towards roads. I don't think we resoluted that, hey, you need to transfer the money now, knowing it takes
No,
too long.
it was the amount of money we were gonna use, and
Yeah.
we were gonna pull money from there to cover the
Yeah.
extra
Yeah.
roads.
So what is y'all expectation? Was it that when it came due to pay, you were going to move money out, and at that time only? Or was it your idea to say, take the money and throw it into the account and encumber it to use for roads?
I don't think we're even close to that decision right now. I mean,
Well, he's talking about.
Yeah, it's history.
The original intent was to move it out when the expenses came due.
Or to
from
allocate
the-
it.
So that it was allocated.
It's allocated.
It was pre-allocated
Yeah.
for the roads at the time that they come due.
Yeah.
We can, so I guess the question is, can we encumber money that's sitting in CDR, knowing we won't use it for 6 months? We're gonna use 200,000 out of the CDR account.
You can use money from any account, number one, right? And so what I'm saying is, tax pool's fine, it's drawing interest on us, y'all got the report that says how much is there and all. Okay, so now let's say we want to do roads, and you and I successfully try to get him to add one
Yeah.
freaking road, or whatever, or we make a future plan. Any of those can happen. When they happen, we need money. So where are we going to get the money? If this year we're about to approach, you come in and say, I want more money for roads than in the road restricted account. Right? And you say it, okay, I want another 300,000 in there. I'm going to go, okay. So if you want another 300,000 there and we don't have a balanced budget, you're going to balance it by taking from the cash account first. Because the cash account has, honestly, too much money in it. So you would take it from the bill paying account first, as the bills come in. And then if you need more than that, the amount of money that's in the CDRs, we'd pick a CDR that's coming close to being
Mature.
mature, thank you for the word, and move it.
You can also do it project-based, where you take a CDR and you say,
For this project.
we want this CDR to be for roads. And you have your project, and you know how much money you're gonna need at the end of your project. You're gonna need $500,000.
So,
How long is this CDR gonna take to make me $500,000? And that's how you do your
so
project.
you use CDR like a bond almost, right?
Yeah.
But when you read this document here, it's gonna tell you just how we're gonna have to do that from standing a budget and from a reporting standpoint. Because
So
it is,
isn't that something that we should, like, as we work into the budget, we should sort of figure out where we are and expenses in, well, our balance sheet, basically. Where are we balancing out? What do we have left over?
yes.
And I think touching accounts that are interest-bearing accounts for whatever probably shouldn't automatically be just rolled into spending.
Agreed. So we should not ever do that, period, number one, but we only need to do it when we need those funds. And then we go looking through the CDRs, because they're all
So I
basically,
think we should start building that into.
we have a CDR dedicated to her, we have a CDR dedicated to him, and we can't touch those. We have CDRs that belong to us, the city, and you can see those, they're all in that
Right.
report. And then any of those that have a maturity date, you can even see when it's gonna mature, we just choose and say, okay, Eric, we need $200,000 in 6 weeks. Got it, I'll get it done, move it. If there's gonna be a penalty, I will not move it, I'm gonna come back and say, hey, we don't want to take a penalty, but we want the money, and if we have it in cash, you're going to have it from cash. Because honestly, if you want $300,000 right now to come out of our cash account and pay a bill, she's got it. Don't do anything, just write the check. Or do an
Funding
ACH.
has a great module for projects like that, where you can actually tie in your bank accounts, your CDRs. It ties into your general ledger, and it carries over through all the modules, which is great for tracking and planning. It does cost a bit. And you know, the modules on FundView are not cheap.
How much?
But
Or is that
I
something we
don't know.
need?
I'd have
So
to-
those are
I'd
things
have
that we
to
need to figure out and
Right.
have as part of the
Right.
budget discussions.
Right.
So from their standpoint, basically what I've given them is that we need a tool, then they need to come forward and say we need a tool to make jobs easier, simpler, quicker, and more effective, then that's what we want from that group. And so, I mean, that's gonna save us manpower, it's gonna save us time.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what we want to do.
automation.
Automation is,
And it
Automation
keeps
to.
things consistent and it's checks and balances.
right now, I think we pay 11 for FundView.
No, it's about 89, I think.
Okay.
Cheyenne asked me 89 a year.
And I think I heard the project thing was another 5.
Per
Just a
module, how many
ballpark?
modules do we have?
We have,
You're talking about 8,900?
yeah, we have AP, we have bank reconciliation,
GL,
GL,
payroll,
payroll.
And permits.
and
So-
permits.
Permits.
So we're paying like 40 grand a year for FundView? 45 grand, 45,000?
No,
No,
For the
89.
whole year,
Year.
for the whole year, not a month,
For
for the
all
whole
of
year.
it.
For the whole year.
So the
Per-
project
But you said per
management.
module.
Sorry.
No, no, no.
That's all the modules we
That's
currently
all
have.
modules.
That's
Okay,
what the
okay.
current setup we have.
Okay, so that's
Let
not,
us know about
That's
the
not bad.
project.
Look,
I just wrote it down so we can call.
so if you wanted to
When we-
add modules, it wouldn't be another $8,900? Okay.
No,
That'll
it's
be
still
last
price
bit.
per module.
what we're gonna do as we drill into the nitty gritty of this, is we're
Plugins.
gonna pull up FundView.
Yeah.
You're gonna see the modules and you're gonna be able to pull a report, you're gonna be able to pull a live report, you're gonna be able to pull all the payments, whatever y'all need to see, we can pull and put on the screen.
Right.
So, and instead of giving you chunks and chunks of paper to try to go through, I figured, guys, we finally have it. You know, we can just sit here, pull up the entire GL, pull up FundView, pull up New First, pull up whatever you want. Now, if,
Not New
wait, account numbers.
Not new first.
Not
Count.
me first.
I was gonna catch myself in a minute. But if we're gonna pull up data that's closed session, then we just go to closed session and we pull up data. If we have to pull up that data. Now, there's ways for us to
Take the
produce that
live feed
report.
off. Or
Without,
the recording
Without,
off.
yeah. Y'all have gotten reports before with it being Xed. So we can do
Yeah.
that. We can put a print for some of those
Sure.
and say, we're gonna X it out.
Sure.
Redacted. Cheyenne's
So
good.
I think knowing about what's coming, I mean, obviously, there's no way to pinpoint exactly how much sales tax revenue you're gonna get because that varies month to month.
What we did in the past is we took what was and we say, okay, so beer, all of that kind of stuff, they just added 2%,
Well, it depends if I
3%.
go to Anthony's or not, then if I do, then it's a
And
lot
it goes
more,
up.
right?
So we're gonna ask you to go there more often.
It's expensive.
Or, damn, how can we get taxes?
I'm not moving the garage.
Okay, I was about to say, gravel spot. We have a place for it. Or EDCB could buy one, put it there.
No, there you go.
Oh, hey,
I could.
EDCB could buy one and put it there.
There's probably not enough money between the two to open a bar.
Really? It's that bad, huh?
you wouldn't want to.
I did.
Okay, so,
Okay.
All right.
all right, so we've talked about the stuff that's in your binder, and now I guess I'm gonna ask a question. What would y'all like to see for the balance of the time that we have, because we had
What's the
scheduled,
balance of time that we have? Angela's asking.
this meeting was published to go to 8 o'clock. Now, for Angela's sake,
Her ETA is 7:50. Is it worth her coming, is what she's wanting to know.
well, let me ask y'all this, how long y'all wanna stay? You know me, I can go 4 hours, 5 hours all the time.
We know.
Okay, so. And I'm older than all of you, so go ahead.
I would, for me, I would be good till 8:30ish, another hour. I'm good for that, but that's,
We're talking about the general part of the budget.
Right.
We have not touched in the budget.
Right,
it's also the first meeting starting.
Get
out.
ready to pull up,
More
FundView.
informational.
Yeah.
are you good till 8?
or I can pull it up, either one of
Never
you.
done this before.
What do you, okay, click that?
8:30? You're good till
Tell me,
8:30?
you clicked it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are y'all good till 8:30?
I'm good till 8. I have a job. I gotta go to work.
So let's do what we need to do with Stacy until 8, and then we can have discussion.
Well,
until 8:30.
honestly,
Is that okay?
better yet, I can pull up FundView and put it on mine and talk through
I
this.
mean, I don't,
Okay.
But you might have what you need.
What do
think
y'all
we could
wanna
read
see?
that?
What do y'all want to see?
She can make it, a little bigger.
is it, oh no, it's as big as it
It's
goes.
big as it-
Put it in grandma mode for Andy.
Oops, hang on.
I got my
Oh,
reading
that's
contact
worse.
set,
You can-
so
Right.
You should be able to change
So I have
the ratio
dual
on the
vision
TV.
contacts.
I got reading
Don't
mine
ask me.
more on one side.
I don't know how to-
Okay, wait, stop there for a second.
I know, I can't.
This picture shows you the consolidated cash balance, and it shows you the outstanding payables and accounts over budget. Now, I sent you a report recently that says we're over budget on some accounts. So what has to happen on those is they're gonna have to make a journal entry, we gotta do a budget adjustment, those types of things. So
But that's probably not abnormal, close to the end.
It's not
depends
abnormal,
on
so
when
the
they pay.
Peacock does the work, right?
But-
So,
There's only, FundView's working out a glitch on this. The revenue accounts show over budget
right, there's a negative.
because they're negative, but they really shouldn't be negative because we're over in a good way. We're over
I was
positive.
wondering about that, that seemed like too
Yeah,
much.
so
We're not
there's,
overspent.
yeah, there's, you have to look at just the expense part. And that's where we're over
Right.
budget. So,
So
Over in revenue is a good thing?
yes.
Yes.
So if
But
we can
we
make
also-
So
that,
it's
But
really
over in
not
expenses is not.
21. I think it's closer to 15 accounts that are over. So I can create a
So this is-
PDF and send it to you.
well, I mean, that seems like
I'd rather have that.
a relatively good place to start with the budget if we have an excess
Can you
of
send the
money
Excel?
sitting in those
Versus
accounts.
the
Then
PDF. PDF's
What, excess
Yeah, you
in
can
revenue?
export it in Excel.
I'm sorry, hold on, guys. You're saying it's good to start with what?
I think it'd be good to start with FundView, knowing where we haven't spent the money that was allocated. Because if it was allocated and not spent
Okay,
this
so-
year, why wasn't it spent?
Understand. So
Then
we're
that's when we'll start.
we still got August, and we still got September.
Sure.
And so,
Well, you can do like an average too.
right, so that's what,
absolutely.
the same thing you're gonna do when you do the budgets. You're gonna kind of
Absolutely.
do some averages,
Absolutely.
right? So I was thinking, if the first thing we address is we had a budget for expenses and we missed it. We missed it early. We have 2 more months. We're gonna miss it big time if it keeps coming into
Right.
expense. If we look at those and there's anything we can do to kind of control them in any way, then maybe that's some input we would need. It said, look, you're not gonna spend any more than that. Or, Garrett, go do your adjustments, make this thing go away. So if I send you all the report like I did before that says, here's the expenses that are over budget, and then let y'all think about that, but all I'm asking is you think about it, you come back, or send me an individual email saying, I think this is like absurd, whatever.
Well, you sent
Okay,
one.
Is that better?
I did.
That's much better,
You
thank
sent one,
you.
but it's just a couple of them that
Amazing.
didn't make sense.
So,
Okay, so let's look at this. If we can go right now with this one,
right.
Like the revenue, the first one.
forget revenue, the
But
first
those are the
two.
ones that are
Well,
wrong.
we didn't, I don't know why there's not a budgeted amount showing up for roads.
So here's the good news on.
Because that's the new restricted.
Oh,
so
that's right,
previous
that's the new
wasn't.
restricted.
So if you look at ad valorem, that's the good news.
Right.
We're getting 22,000 more already
Than
than
what
what
we
we had budgeted to get.
In ad valorem.
Yes. So, hey, you're gonna have more than 49, you're gonna have more than 100 this year. And it's gonna just go to your ICS account. Okay. Building permits,
Is that year-to-date amount include that? Scroll up one to account, or line number 3.
I'm sorry.
You're fine. That ad valorem, you got 35 is what was budgeted, 37 is what we have, which
Right.
gives us the 22
Right.
over.
So
The
376,
37 year-to-date is
376,000,
is accurate.
yes.
Okay, that's what I was double checking.
but that's probably still with a handful not being paid because some people don't pay their property taxes.
We get a dribble in over time in fewer months, and then gonna ramp back up as soon as those bills
Because
go
I think
out.
this said that we're not at 100%.
Right.
Well, it's estimating, but there was one that 116%, one
That
at
was
80
2 years
something,
back.
one- Right, but it's over a 3-year period, you've got a fluctuation.
Okay.
Okay, so go down to building permits.
Yeah, building permits is 10,000 over what we projected.
and that's good. It's working Cheyenne to death, but it's good. Those are the new homes being built, that's changes, permits, whatever they needed, right? So next year, when we go say, well, how much we want to put in building permits, we'll have to think about it, right? It won't necessarily be the 25,000 figure, but we all know there's houses and we all know there's land, there's sales and shit going on, so, sorry.
But conversely, engineering fees are
Up to.
Yeah.
Because of the same reason.
Yes.
because of the
Yes,
same reason.
absolutely.
So we, you
And
know,
it's
it's a double-edged sword.
actually out more than what the other is. Engineering's out 14 grand, the other's out.
Yeah.
Permits we brought in at 10 extra.
Right.
So it hasn't
So
actually,
it
hasn't,
cost us 4 grand.
another $4,000, yeah. So does that mean we're not charging enough for permits?
That's where my head is.
Unless the engineering's for something else?
Right.
Well,
which is
there's
very
that-
budgeted.
Or you keep going up.
There's set fees.
There what?
And I
The fees are set.
think that we should be breaking even.
Well, that's the reason I was gonna ask, did engineering, is there anything else in there? That's a simple,
Oh, the engineering, yeah.
yeah, is there anything on this
Okay.
building or anything else we've done
Yes.
that doesn't compute
Yeah.
Yes.
to
Building permits,
permit?
yeah.
Yeah, that's not one-to-one, because that's the
Exactly.
roads,
So-
that's the stuff.
Right.
Excellent question, and so that's one of the ones that when we say, okay, we want to talk more about these, we'll drill down. And Cheyenne, and Stacy, when she's,
But is the
Not
amount for
dying
that other
tonight.
stuff what we
and
budgeted
drill us
in
down,
engineering?
or I can.
Go towards, yeah,
And then we ran over on engineering, is it because of that?
yeah.
And if it
That's
is,
where I
then
was
we need to
going.
go up, right.
Yeah,
But
There's
also,
stuff for the grant too.
But then we budget for that.
It should have been, but I don't know if it's still coming out of this.
Well, see,
engineering,
that-
I think it does.
What?
Engineering fees, even if it was 4 grand or anything else, still comes out of engineering, not from the grant fund.
We're supposed to account for every penny when it's a grant, every.
That's what I'm saying, but
It is,
but it goes
but-
into engineering and then
Yeah.
out.
It looks that
But
way.
I still have to give a report to GLO and them, that's the actual, not whatever we think is spread
I'm
apart.
talking about the actual, so the actual funds go into there and then it's paid out, engineering is paid out of the engineering.
Is that true or is it paid out of grants? That's my
What?
question.
I'm sorry?
For engineering that LJA does on the grant, is it paid out of the grants or is it paid out of engineering?
It's paid out of grants.
Okay, so then.
Straight from grants, it
Yes.
doesn't go through
Okay.
engineering?
Yes.
Okay.
So here's the thing though, what you just said. When you say paid out of engineering, it's not paid out of it, it's paid out of cash, and then we make we make an entry into fund view that
Right.
says this is the money we used
But that's, yeah.
for this budget, from this budget, right? So it's important to remember that because you're spending cash. Every time you do anything, you're spending cash. And in your budget, you hope that the cash you spend is equal to the revenue we're gonna get.
Right, but I think what they're saying was it entered as coming out of that bucket?
No, any LJA money that was
For the,
for ARPA grants or for the MITMOD, that comes out of,
it was straight out of
Straight out of
those
the
grants, it's
grants.
not coming through for.
Right, and so that's where I'm at right now, Justin, with having to fix that because there's grants inside the grants that's not the grants. It's the mid-mod one that has to be moved and taken out of that and shown to reduce that $1.5 million. So that's work that Peacock,
We need to see, yeah, because you're gonna show what, show revenue coming in for that grant and then going back out
Right back
to a
out.
grant
Right.
fund and show that, so that you balance out.
Yeah. Tell you, the ones that
That's what
concern me
I'm
are public mowing, that one comes out of EDC, so it's weird that it would be there, right?
Public mowing comes out of 3, both EDCs and the city. We
So why
split it.
so why is there not a budgeted amount? Why is it 0?
because that's what we budgeted last year.
and
Doesn't make sense.
Because a decision was made last year to have, I think it was the EDCs participate. Now, $75
comes out of EDC.
comes out of EDCA.
And that's
that's
just
this
the city
building.
hall. Right, that's building maintenance
Right, that's this one,
That's
and
this.
then the other,
is the right of way.
But there was no budget for it? That doesn't make sense.
He
It might
really
have
needs
come
to be
under-
paid out of public works.
Right.
Anyway, not out of,
not just out of.
So
Not-
can we fix
Right.
that for next year?
That's the whole
Okay.
point.
That's what the
Yeah.
whole point of
Yeah.
this
the
is.
chart of accounts and getting it
Right.
fixed.
Yeah, and then like subscriptions, how do you go from 1,800 to 13,000? What kind of subscription?
Because of,
Because of the professionals.
too many items are going under subscriptions. Like,
Okay.
fund views paid out of subscriptions.
Okay.
Because
That should
it's
be out
that,
of technology or.
Right.
right, because they looked at it as a subscription
Right.
to a service versus it's part of your technology.
Right.
I made us some forms for this year that are gonna go, we're gonna have a form for each line item, and we'll approve it in the budget for what specifically comes out of that line item, so that we don't have that problem where
Okay.
somebody thinks, oh, this is a subscription, so I'm gonna take it out of subscriptions, but really the person who made the budget's intention was for it to come out of somewhere else. And then things get all
We'll assign that to
out of
the-
whack.
Yeah, I
Correct,
think clarifying
yeah,
that stuff.
Then you
This
see-
is my first one,
The
so
chart
I'll
of
be clarifying that
accounts,
stuff,
you
yeah.
want it to be, you don't want it to be so expansive that you
Right.
have so many buckets that you can't keep control
Absolutely.
of them, but you want to have more than what we have right now.
We also want to earmark
Fine, we want to
whatever your
earmark it
expense is,
and
what jail
tailor it to
account
what
you're
we
gonna.
need.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you have like, so this is an Excel spreadsheet, right? So obviously if you have subscriptions and it has its own page, then you'll have all the things that actually come out of that subscription.
And that's what I've done.
You do an Excel.
That-
Okay.
Those are the forms that I make.
Okay,
And I know where
consulting.
technology came from, because that's
So
that
if
was all this.
last year's,
Another one.
Susan, last year's budget,
That has an
the mayor
issue.
made some notes on the side and it said what it was, so there were just notes, right, on an Excel spreadsheet that says, this is funded, this is also technology for this and that, there's 5 or 6 things with the amounts on it that made up that budget amount.
Okay.
Now, the problem with that is, it disappears. It's
Well, I mean,
not-
here it seems like you should have 22 pages, however many there, if there's 22 pages, and like page 21, under subscriptions or whatever you want to call it, would have
You
all the
wanna see-
line items in that particular page.
You want to see the trial balance.
Yes, so
Yeah.
trial balance and drill down, we can do that.
That's what,
Well, we don't have to, I'm just, I'm-
But
we will.
well,
that's
we
where
don't have to
you're-
right now, is what I'm
Yeah,
saying. We don't
yeah.
have to right now. I'm just trying to understand, but, and that makes sense, that, and I know where
That's
the
what that
technology overage was, because everybody, that got voted on to do
Okay,
the things that needed to be done in here, for sure.
Okay, she brought up a
Okay.
very good point, and since you're gonna be on limited time, go back, go to budget,
Okay,
and go to reports.
I can do that.
I know. How many times have we?
Okay.
Budget. And then what I want you to do is choose the new budget, budget manager. I think I gave you that power, didn't I?
This is Cheyenne's
Okay, so,
computer.
go at the top where it says 25, it says 26, 27, that's the correct one.
Right.
Now, you see the little rolling wheel, scroll down, oh, that's it, hit that,
The cog?
okay. What, yeah, the cog,
cog.
whatever you
the
want to call it.
conquer gear.
It's a little gear, it's a cog. It's basically sprocket.
The little blue dot. Okay, so you see right now, any one of those, click on
That, the paper,
no, not that one, that's at Valorem. I want to go down to like,
Like technology or one of the ones
yes,
that were like
anything like
really
we were just
weird,
talking
yeah.
about. So the reason I want to show you this now is because this is what we can do. We just go through this,
It'll break it down.
break it all down. And you see those things on the right, the little dot that says number one? I'll put notes in already. So when we're going through this and you hit that notes button, it's going to tell you what notes I'll put in.
you want me to hit the notes? You want me to
You
hit
could,
the?
but
Technology, yeah.
actually I just wanted to drill down on one of them. Drill that, hit that. Okay, so now if you go down to the bottom and you hit
There's
A
no,
zero
show
items.
detail.
right, there's no, because this is not published yet.
No. We can see it before it's published because this is one of the first stages.
There was another one underneath it, which technology says.
Okay. Go back.
This is 26,
And you
27.
see the little button that says active? That's where I took and made the other two inactive. And so once you make them inactive, they're not going to be presented to you again. All right, there you go. AT&T, Granicus, AT&T,
This is this year's budget.
this year's.
And that's fine,
25,
yes.
26.
This is 25, 26.
And until we populate the new one,
Right.
and I move it over to accept it, then all of that will populate.
Okay.
Like,
So-
here's an example, this is in technology, it's a subscription, it's E-code, city cell phones, I mean, y'all have to decide what you want. I mean, I think honestly with the chart of accounts, we need definitions and guidance saying, this is what goes into consulting, this is what should be paid out of technology, this is what should be paid out of facilities.
That's what those forms are for.
Right.
And so what I want to do is at that point, we're bringing Peacock in. He is our CPA, we pay him. And he's the one who would make those journal entries, would make the changes, and he knows, he's a CPA.
If we set it now, if we set it at the beginning of the budget season and define what charter should be to the account, how it should be assigned to it, then we shouldn't need as many of those journal entries.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
The pure, the accounts are set
The
up.
less journal entries you do, the better, because they don't like to see a ton of journal entries.
We talked about that a little bit last year, Susan, on it. And I hate my accounts. I'm like, what is in here? Because they're just too generic. So my accountants do that. And then they explain, I'm like, well, if I could just read it, then I would know, you wouldn't have to explain it.
Right.
And Eddie will be able to tell us what's customary and what's good standard practice.
Correct.
As far as where we should be paying things out of and how we should be paying.
Now, I'm just gonna let you know, he'd have to come here from Dallas, and we'll have to, pay for that.
Which line item are you taking that as?
Huh?
Which line item are you taking that as?
It's called the paraphernalia budget.
Well, and consulting, he needs to be
He's there.
accounting.
Put him in a crappy hotel.
Not
Accounting.
consulting, as far as I'm
See.
concerned.
CPA.
But if he's coming in a consulting
Right,
aspect, wouldn't that be
Right.
under?
It's
He's
consulting.
doing, yeah.
but the work they normally do, we
That'd
pay
be
them out of
accounting.
consulting, that should be coming out of accounting. One vendor can have multiple line items that are charged to them. like-
Right, they're not dedicated, you don't have dedicated vendors. It's by expense, correct?
Okay.
So yeah, you code each expense then.
Stacy, quick question, kind of back on public loan, just because I see it twice. What's the difference between 100 and 200 account? Again?
100 is administration, 200 is EDCA.
Hey,
Okay,
300.
300 for the ADC, 200.
Right.
EDCA is 300.
So
B,
there's,
B, B is 300.
Is EDCB is 300.
A is 200, B is 300.
Okay. I
so I
thought maybe that might be the
took
case.
chart of accounts, broke it down and added your account type to the front of each of them. So I know that this is 909's all consolidated, which is all of those.
It takes a minute to get the departments and
Yeah,
funds.
'cause it's not lined on this sheet, so I wasn't 100% sure.
I just started doing it, so I've set up.
I was about to say, do you want to share that?
No, I don't mind sharing it, I did it too much.
So, well, if you want to share it, send it to Cheyenne. We'll look at it and see how we can integrate it and then share it. Because that's a tool that they can use, it's just an Excel.
It is, it just took the one there, just, this one was in the title, I'll share the book.
We're going back to think about public mowing, how much more we're gonna have to add.
So here's the deal in public mowing, I'll give you some information. Because y'all approved for me to sign the deeds, okay, now we have to talk about the fact that we're gonna have more property next year. And there's gonna be mowing required. You said you'll mow till October. I don't know when those deeds are gonna come through for me to sign. We don't know. It's gonna be a couple of months. It's a process, right? There's words out there. Everybody wants to know a lot of things, right? And I'm probably gonna have to do an announcement on the page that says, this is happening. We have the authority, but we have a process. And then the true process for assigning use is not developed, and it's gonna be done by council at a later date. So just hold your horses. Don't get overreacted.
Yeah, I think the quicker we can turn that into not paying for maintenance, the better.
I think that's the objective of government. So, we all know that's a process, and we gotta let the public know it's gonna be a process.
Yep.
And, some people think they're entitled, and I'm gonna go, nobody's entitled. It's deeds, and the council will decide through a process that'll be fair and equitable for that to be used. And we have ideas already. Y'all talked about ideas we could do with certain sections of parcels.
Yeah.
Somebody wants horses, and
Well, I mean, if people are willing to pay rent and maintain, then I mean,
Then that
that should be a discussion that we have, yeah.
so y'all free to have that whenever. Put it on the agenda item.
Yeah.
Or even some things can be done closed session. And the only time, the
Right.
proper use of closed session. Consultation with a lawyer and other things like
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can we do, what are we able to do, can we charge for it, can
Yeah,
we?
yeah, we don't
And
know.
sometimes it might be,
Well, that'll be a lot up to having, like you said, closed sessions with
So when y'all-
the attorney.
right,
Excuse me, everybody.
Hi, Angela.
She has arrived.
Yes, thank you.
From one meeting to another?
Well, I was told as I was leaving meeting one that I could not wear my work shirt to a official council meeting, so I had to race home, change my shirt, and come.
You don't keep extra clothes in your car?
Well, actually, it was another thing, I usually do, but I have the county car, and I was told I couldn't have the county car here as well. so-
Goodness.
Oh.
Change which cars and.
So you get a
So,
car?
yeah,
Never mind.
Not normal.
How many of y'all want a car?
when I need it, like it's there for me to use, but I take it home sometimes, but it says precinct, yeah.
Good
so.
bonus.
Do we need to, as far as the lots and figuring out the maintenance on them? I
No,
think we need-
I have more to say, I'm sorry.
Did you? No,
Yes.
no.
So, the process is given a link to someone who can bid to maintain those lots. And the conversation with Greg was that these people only charge a certain amount of money for lots way beyond ours. They add some more that they're buyouts that they also cut. And that amount that he projected was like 8,000, and I'm saying that's very interesting. I think we'll be talking to these people, and the thing I don't have, I've been begging for, is who's cutting what and what are they cutting right now? It's been a struggle to get the actual map of what we're paying 30,000 a year for. So I'm gonna keep
Are
trying.
you talking about
Very good.
making the cut?
Oh, you're
Yes.
switching, okay, so you're switching from
If we
the property
potentially-
where we are getting deeded to.
Correct.
What's being done.
Correct. So if, I don't know what the figure's gonna be, so it's all this is conversation. So if we know what we've got and what it's costing us, we can now compare it to what we can potentially do with all of it or
That's the
just a
whole
part.
right of way that he mows.
And that's not ours.
Which right away?
The one across the street.
Across the street and all the way down 1093, I think.
I talked to
That's not
Katie.
That little bit?
I talked to Katie
Didn't he
today.
know all that? How much is John?
But I don't think he necessarily mows it for us. But is he charging us for it?
Thank you, good question.
Because that's
I have
owned
the
by
contract.
the total authority.
Guys, I think we're paying for that. So
Then they'll never
anyway,
get mowed, and it'll look like crap.
correct.
We can't have that.
I talked to,
That's a choice, but let's
That's the-
make sure we know what we're paying for.
Exactly.
talked to Katie, the commissioner's project person. She was here today. We were talking about another issue with Comcast. And so,
You mean Xfinity?
how many names are in this? Because it's three that they
That's
use.
Xfinity.
Do we have an update on it?
They were over here today.
They're supposed to be done with
I can talk about that too, but not,
Yeah,
Not
no, that's
now.
fine.
That's not on this.
So that is a contract that we definitely need to view and see what we're paying for, correct? I agree.
I don't even know that we have a contract. So we're gonna just check it out. I gotta pull him in here and say, spell it for me. What are you cutting? What are we paying?
Well, there should be invoices every month that
But
specify.
they don't
that.
detail
He's
it.
not good at paying.
It says mowing.
Don't even get me started on the invoices.
Yeah.
So
Then
we're
someone
not,
someone needs to contact them and say, hey, I mean, because I've seen him out mowing all kinds of
have.
stuff. So,
We have contacted.
5 emails in the past 2 weeks.
Invoices and details.
So I saw him.
well, when you talk to him, tell him my ditches need to be done. Thank you very much.
You know, do this.
He does, I pay him.
Oh, I'll pay him to do this.
I pay him to do my ditches.
hey, back,
Anyway.
back squirrel.
Yeah. So, yeah, we need to clarify that.
You know, what he is paying, what he charges.
So once I get that information right, I mean, I might tag some council person, say, look, you want this project? You're gonna take these two, you're gonna compare them, and we can present the council a decision.
Well, he does the mowing for the POA too, and he's pretty specific on his invoices about what he's doing.
We don't get that. She can show you. It's not regular, and it's like double, charges twice, 2 invoices, same time. So it's a little bit of a problem on the bookkeeping side. And so, you know, I feel for him, but this is important, this is
He
city.
can hire me to take care of his books for him.
So my question is, and Stace, maybe you know, or Kelly, or do you? So EDC mows for something,
We pay.
which I don't
We pay part of
understand
it.
why.
We pay part of it, yeah.
So why doesn't this, you play part of it, was that because of the city needed money at some point in time? Or because you guys weren't spending money so it worked?
I think it was just part of the agreement with the city.
Share,
It
just
kept
share,
going.
share the expense.
Yeah, it was just split up.
What?
But you're the,
I don't know.
I didn't do
B is
it.
the only one, or A is the only one that helps pay?
No, they pay different amounts, depending on how much it's set.
So-
So that's confusing.
Don't you want to
I
simplify?
mean, it's not, I get it, but
No, honestly,
But it's like-
we could simplify things. We could say, look, the city pays.
Yeah.
EDC, y'all got a lot of things you can go do and use
Right.
that money wisely for, right? And so let's do the priority thing of what they can do and let's go get it done. versus let us pay for mowing if we're gonna pay for
Well,
mowing. But we gotta
and
understand what it
there's
is.
Tit for tat, because these guys get sales tax, so yeah, if it works, it works, and we want things to look nice, so it kind of works, but then again,
So that's how we got to where we are. So
Exactly.
y'all can reconsider how you wanna do it.
But I think you also stated it well, we're spending the money. May not be spending as much as we need to, but
yeah. And
Spending
it's, I
something.
just wanted to understand what history,
Yeah.
because I'm sure the city at times, they needed the money or they needed the help. That was a good way to do it. I don't,
Because
I think that was the original intention.
before we came into
Or
it.
you-
We
okay.
exceeded.
Yeah.
So there's even, it goes even further back.
Yes, there's legacy. There is legacy before all of you, I guess.
So we basically spent
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, even before us. I came on with you.
I know.
So,
Okay, I'm just interested on how some of the stuff, so.
all right, so, Angela.
What tab are y'all on?
We're not.
We're not on
looking
any
up there
tab now,
mostly.
we're looking at the
We're in
TV.
Eric and
Ah,
Brian's.
got it.
So,
Because Stacy
everything
has
you
5
have
more
in your
minutes and
book,
she's leaving us.
Angela, everything you have in your book, if you really want to come back and sit with me and talk, I can give you everything
Okay.
going over, no problem. We're
Okay.
glad to do that. Where we are right now is on fund view itself,
Oh.
showing how we can drill down, and when we go forward with the budget, we're going to actually pull up the new proposed budget and go line item by line item and make adjustments if y'all want. So it's a deal, it's a
So-
working budget.
you see line item number 2 is subscriptions. Why is that under technology?
Okay,
This is.
So-
E-code.
So there,
So things like that, we, Cheyenne created these things, pages.
For
that-
us to kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, we're not doing it right now, but like the next one is cell phones. Well, we have a line item on here for telephone. Put it there. That's logical. So we're gonna end up fixing the budget as we go,
Got
as
it.
well as, moving monies around and whatever.
I can also do a payment report that I think, didn't you send that to them or did you not
I
yet?
sent one at one point, but I have one
It's a
that
full
goes,
payment report by
Or back here.
department. So you can see where the line item, where it was charged, and look at it and come back with comments, hey, this might be better over here. You can talk about it,
Can you get an Excel?
last year.
yes,
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
about, everything is Excel.
Last year, there was a lot that we had to move around. This year, not so much mistakes, so,
Well, that's where you want to be, right? You don't want to be moving stuff around.
no.
Were you telling me which ones?
Do you want to be able to look at it and go,
Oh, it's over
it's
there.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
So,
less journal entries for sure.
absolutely. All right, so in the clarification portion of the GL codes and all, we're saying we're bringing Peacock in. We all agree? We need the intelligence and the information from Peacock, who's been doing this and doing the journal entries and doing the reconciliations. So the important thing from a budget perspective is that we want things reconciled and we want them done on time. We want the payments entered and we're doing a good job on that. And then we want to be able to understand the funds and where everything is going. So as y'all start to fill out the budget, you'll have everything you need to make a decision. The decisions are yours, and they're independent of administration. We feed you what we think we want, and then y'all decide.
Well, we need to think about future too, like employees, what we want to,
Oh,
obviously, we cannot have just Cheyenne.
so
Okay?
on...
She's great, but we don't want to kill
She's gonna
her.
need some help.
She's gonna need some major help, so,
What are you talking about? You've been helping the heck out of her.
no, I'm not, I have a full-time job.
And I saw what you charge, and it's probably not enough, by the way.
Y'all can give a raise if y'all want.
So the other, so more staff, obviously, and I think one of them is that we need to, personally, I think we need to discuss, is something that keeps coming up and has been coming up for years. Code enforcement.
Yeah.
Oh, no, 100%.
Absolutely.
I don't think that needs to be a full-time person, so, I mean,
I'm
is,
thinking, is there,
Phil said he had a great recommendation. I don't know if you were here that day, but he said he has a great recommendation of
It's
a,
not Phil, it was his,
oh, it was his counterpart person.
okay, that's the day I was.
Yeah, he said that they work with a lady who does it part-time and contracts through different cities, and that he.
She's just kind
So-
of, hey, I'm here
Here's how we can
3
do
days a
that.
month, whatever.
Y'all say we want code enforcement, you put it in the budget, and you put a salary to it, you say y'all really would like it to be part-time. Administration's gotta go find that person and get them hired.
well, so, I mean, if it's something that we can do contract, then I think doing that a little backwards would be the thing, would be to say, here's a consulting firm, they offer this, what do they charge?
Or at least
And then-
give
and
us
then we
an
decide
estimate
what-
so we can budget for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be perfect.
So is that a request?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
It's a
100%.
request, absolutely a request.
Diane?
And it might be somebody, honestly, and I might be under-exaggerating or over-exaggerating, I don't know. It might be somebody that we might need out here literally, 3 or 4 days a month.
I was thinking every other week, like 2 days every other week, like 4 days a month, something like that.
I think in the beginning, there's going to be a lot of time, and then it's going to calm down. 'Cause-
Well, we kind of need to
Well,
come
might be
to
like-
some
I don't
sort
think you
of
need to hammer it in one time either. You can space it out.
consensus of how many days it's gonna be, because that's gonna be what I need to ask.
I think the code enforcer's gonna have some say-so in that, once they drive around and see what the scope of work is and what we're expecting, then they can say, I'm gonna need,
But we-
3 days inspection and 1 day to write a report, or 2 days to write reports. and-
But I don't think that they're gonna be able to do that in time for budgeting, but I think if we can start with, hey, we think we're gonna need you here 4 days a
She
week.
says this is my hourly rate.
What, where are we at? That at least gets us on the dartboard so that we know, and then as we're going, we can adjust and say, okay.
Angela, if you have information regarding
Well, yeah,
that, you
if
can
we
send it
know,
to Diane.
like Angel was saying, if we know an hourly rate for them to come out and do inspections
daily,
and write
whatever, some kind of
reports,
rate.
and then we set a budget for it and say, we can afford you 6 days a month for
Right.
a year or whatever.
Well, that's generally budgeted under public safety.
And prioritize, yeah.
I think we have public safety and chart of accounts now.
I think so too.
Okay.
So read those yellow
There might be
notepads
something
in
to have a little bit of information on before we budget.
I'll get it.
Or at least, make sure we set enough. for
And
budget.
that's true for everything that we're gonna kind of do. We're gonna say, okay, what can we find out to make the budget more accurate? Some of it, we just won't have the time, because we could take till November if we really want to calm this thing down.
I've got it
So,
here.
But if we had a gross idea.
yeah, I got
Yeah.
it. So, yeah, I think we can. I mean, you have experience with certain things. You can come in and say, look, that's whatever, right? Because you know.
Sure.
He has experience with a lot of stuff. So the value is that the experienced people have around the table can be contributed right to making a good decision.
Well, that might be something that we can contact the attorney's office. And I was wondering
what I
too, if it's something that Veritas could offer.
I
If they do
think
it on
I heard
site, I
that
don't know.
I just didn't know.
So that might be enough, because we already use them for inspections, right?
One second. Cheyenne, put Bureau Veritas on that list to check if they can do it,
If they offer that.
if they offer that service. Thank you.
Because, I mean, they already know all the building codes. And so
You know
we
they're
just
not-
have to.
They just passed the $7,000 for council. Okay.
But there's something.
We don't have one at all, so quite honestly,
Well, faster.
if they're not the quickest, then I don't know that it really matters all that much at this point. I think having somebody there
Okay,
that,
so let's go to the next step. You want code enforcement, you need a municipal court. What are you gonna
That's
do?
a question,
You're
I
gonna
don't
give me a
know.
ticket, what am I gonna do with it?
I mean, that's a question that we would have to
Right,
ask.
and so we also have already,
Is that something we can use the county for? I don't know.
well, it's something that we already have, and years ago, somebody already did this, and I have a chart of how that's done.
Public safety
It's
should
a
have
whole,
its own fund.
I'm digging through stuff, right? So I'm
So we need to talk to the attorney about how to do that.
Right, and so I can give y'all it's a flow chart of how that is done, and including going to municipal court. And so we could maybe start with something like that as a diagram to throw out to you and say, consider this. Consider this, because at the end of the day.
Wouldn't it just
if
go
you-
through the county? No?
No,
Fort
no,
Bend
no,
County?
municipal court's here. We had one before.
Okay.
We had, Krennic.
Ted?
She actually conducted the court,
Oh,
right? in this-
Tricia or Ed?
Tricia.
Tricia did? She's a judge now. She ain't gonna want to do that.
Yeah, she would. if
We
asked
have
her.
a judge, what are we talking about?
Yes, we have a gentleman.
His name is Robert Richard.
Okay.
He's quite old, I guess. I don't know if he's retired.
I don't know if
Technically our municipal court judge.
Okay. He's
I'm actually
technically
not
out.
sure if Tricia would be able to do that because
Well-
she's an elected official in Fort
Well,
Bend
actually, you
County.
already have one.
And so is Ed, her husband.
Circuit judge?
He's our municipal court judge. We have three parties. One's the judge, prosecutor, and an investigator.
Okay. Judges are.
So, yeah.
So that's your setup, but also with code enforcement, then you have to have somebody write the letters, I guess.
More work.
We definitely need more help. We definitely need more help in the city. There's no doubt about that.
No, for sure.
Mayor, may I advise the council of how that works?
Sure.
It's under,
Council, I don't want to waste your time, I'll be brief. What we did is we subcontracted everything. The prosecutor in Fulshear, Kelly Crowe, who is now a judge, was our
She's Fort Bend
She was the
County
judge,
District 1.
municipal court judge in Fulshear. She became our prosecutor. The code enforcement official who's in building code in Fulshear became our code enforcement investigator. So whenever we
Is
had a
that Jeremy?
complaint, it went to her, she paid her $150, she came out and investigated. She took it to Kelly Crow, who said, yes, I'm gonna prosecute this, or not. They always wanted 3 cases to prosecute so that she could drop 2 charges and prosecute 1. And we held court, I think, 3 times. And we budgeted, I think, $1,200 at the time.
But we think it's time, right? We think it's time because,
Kelly, again, she's at precinct 1, so.
okay.
But there are ways to do that. It sounds like it's inexpensive to do that.
Yeah.
Well, at least than it was before.
The other thing is you pay per docket.
Sure.
The judge gets paid, I mean, you have 1 case or 20 cases per docket.
Right, okay.
There you go.
So
that goes to the
one of the
county.
priorities is
Thank you.
enforcement. Good.
Okay, so there's another topic that I want to bring that we want to add that's different from what we have today.
You mean
just trying-
besides code enforcement?
Yeah.
We need to obviously figure out another city employee. I
Okay,
think that's going to
so
be crucial.
what kind of input you want?
Whatever the rest of the council wants to give,
Whether what?
whatever the council wants to give her.
No. We brought a plan that says we need finance. We need full-time finance person. We brought that to y'all and no, poo-poo, done.
No, we didn't poo-poo that. We just don't have any information on that.
What would you
A
need?
job description has to be written.
I
And
agree.
it has to be posted.
So
and I think that's going
curious
to be.
to you, I know when you came in, you were doing a lot of fixing. A lot of things needed to be done, addressed, right, great. So now that, I'm assuming we're good? I mean, everything's probably
Getting there.
So,
There's still a couple things that pop up here and there. And
but nothing like it was when you first got here?
No.
So is it a full-time position or
Yes.
could it be a part-time position?
No, if you're not going to have a city administrator to work,
No, we're not saying that, we're just,
Right.
right. I'm just saying if, across the board, either way, would it be, because you've said it's hard to have administrator that can also do
if
finances.
you have an administrator that can do finances, that would be full-time.
Sure.
But right now, a finance person can do a little bit of administration, but not a whole lot because the
Yeah.
focus is finance, but they can do the budget, they can, do all that kind of thing.
I just didn't know if, looking at the scheme of things, if we were to say we really wanted an administrator and a part-time financial person, kind of very similar to what we
Sure.
had before, if that is doable, being, I don't know, like, the extent of hours you put in every week to know if it's a part-time.
I think a full-time finance person is the best bang for the buck at this point.
So the question with that would be, and I'm not going to disagree with that, if we have code enforcement and all these other municipal type things, that's going to put more work on Cheyenne. Instead of having a person that can take some of the load from her, a finance person probably wouldn't do that. So it'd just be more work for her. Because she's not
A
doing-
full-time finance person and a part-time front office person to handle phone calls, work permits, I don't know.
They can do some things. I mean,
Yeah.
the finance person is going to have full access to FundView,
Sure.
right? We're going to also give them access to Newverse. So a lot of the things I'm doing, right, basically doing an
Well, yeah, but
administrative
you're
job.
free, so, I mean.
I am free.
Some of the
But
things.
that's not a budget line item.
You're absolutely right. So the job
But the
description
mayor-
for me
the
is whatever the
mayor-
hell you have to do.
You really don't want your council and mayor handling day-to-day
I know,
operations.
I'm kidding.
That's
Right.
I was
your-
kidding.
That's what you hire people for.
They
Because,
take care of
Well, some for the mayor,
right.
but not
the
extended, right?
nitty-gritty. You
So
wanna
that's
be
why I said,
6,000.
we need the job description, you're right. If we can put together a
job
finance job description, we will. I'll post it on TML and we'll see what we get. That could be step one. You don't have to do anything until we start getting a response. Now, what I would have to have from the council is, what are y'all willing to pay? What's the range that you're
Well, I
willing to
think
pay?
so, I think that's some research that we're gonna have to do to find out, I mean, talk to.
So we're talking about just having a finance person and Cheyenne and no city admin? Is that what we're
That's,
saying?
but,
I think that would be foolish. but-
my thing is
That would be
to
too
talk to
much.
them about what, because I don't know how to run the city.
Oh, for sure.
It's like,
From there.
what does Cheyenne think we need the most? What's going to be most beneficial to you? What's going to be most beneficial to the city as a whole? Full-time finance, part-time
Clerk.
administration, or full-time administration, like a city manager who makes all the decisions that brings the day-to-day operations, yeah.
Well, previously, we all had said, if I'm not mistaken, that we wanted a city administrator, so that I just wasn't sure, like, have the consensus switched?
Yeah, so
Or-
I don't know, because, I mean,
Yeah.
again, I don't
I
know
think
what's
it all
going to help the city
depends
run
as
the best.
well. You know, our previous city admin did both,
Yes.
and she did it great.
Right, so an administrative
But that's-
finance.
that's-
If we can find that person, that would be the route to go, right?
With a strong
Well,
finance.
but your previous administrator didn't do all the finance, you hired Julie, you did other things, she didn't get everything.
Julie was hired for data entry
Well,
and for
that's not what she
scanning,
ended up doing.
and you're absolutely right.
Outside of the scope of what
I think it's
Justin.
a lot for a city administrator, especially because we're growing. I think there's a lot to take into account.
But do you start with that, and that person understand, hey, this
Right.
is the stuff I can't get done, and then look at growth?
Look at, right.
Well, because that's the deal too, is like as we're growing, because Twin was about to start developing over here from what I've seen. A city administrator, to me, would be that person who has all the municipal knowledge and background and all of that stuff that you would need for growth before.
Well, you're gonna have to explain that to me, because honestly, you can have LJA working very hand in hand with Twinwood on anything that's municipal in there. They're gonna do what they wanna do, Twinwood number one, right? But we're gonna be involved because we have agreements on what we can do and what we can't do with them. I mean, the signs is another darn thing that's just, we got hit. They're saying we're compliant. We said,
The hell they are.
They said they're compliant because
They're
in their,
compliant
the
because
Twinwood
the agreement
agreement
says
says that they can have it at that size,
Right.
and that the agreement overshadows the ordinance.
Then it's
Actually,
something,
what
that's
you-
it.
It shouldn't overshadow.
The ETJ portion.
No, that one
I meant
they do
the
not.
ditch
That's
part,
text dot.
the right of way, sorry.
No, no,
Yeah.
yeah.
Totally text dot. not
Yeah,
us.
we don't handle that, but actually what
thief or
it
something.
says or what it doesn't say
Depends on
is
what's in their
the problem,
contract.
because the only thing that agreement specifies is that the only signs they cannot have are snipe signs
Yeah.
and revolving signs. But it doesn't
The
state
flag
anything
signs.
else about any other signs.
If you remember, the
So
flag
we didn't
signs went up by
prohibit
that
them.
little property across from there, and the mayor had them take them down, so that was legit, because they weren't entitled to have that. It's tough, right? And so here's,
So in the Twinwood agreement, which is a 50-year contract,
45,
45-year left, 45-year contract total?
45, I think.
45-year contract. I would have to go read, because I've read a lot of it. If all that is in there, then the ordinances don't apply to them.
well, you know,
Until your grandfather, yeah, they were
it's a good point, but the truth is, Twinwood is gonna do what Twinwood wants to do according to the agreements we already have, right? And unless we're ready to go challenge them in court or try to change any
We
of that.
don't have enough money to challenge.
Right, it's not gonna happen.
No.
They can buy the
So
city.
the best thing we can do is understand and partner, right? Understand and partner. So,
We can also suggest and say, this was our understanding, can we?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we don't want to fight them. We want to make sure that we're working with them.
So-
because they
Well,
can buy the city.
on that, I did a whole bunch of listing, and I know which way he kind of wanted to go too, but the way I set my businesses up is if I die tomorrow, I get hit by a bus or a plane crash, it will continue operating without me. They may
Right.
not like it, but they're gonna make it.
Right.
Mayors come and go, council members come and go. The city is not gonna stop growing, but we got a fight coming at us with FEMA. We got the zoning, we have all this coming at us. And
The floodway versus
you know,
floodplain issue.
maybe you're mayor 2 years from now, maybe not, I don't know. But I know the city will still
The
be.
city admin would help in,
Yes.
in
That's-
So we
that.
need somebody heading that ship.
So in the,
Or at least stand at this.
Yes, man in the helm at it. I mean, it does.
right. So in
That's my
our
opinion.
budget now, the budget that we have, we came into this year's budget with the funds to have a Cheyenne and an administrator.
Yep.
And we didn't spend that money, which we've talked about, we're pulling it. So we know that we can make a budget for this next year to still have that and it not be additional, not hurt us in a negative way. So I think that moving forward, knowing that that money is already technically not an additional expense to a potential New Year's budget, that's what we should go with. But I don't recall, please remind me, if the financial person was in this year's budget as well.
So here's the thing about the budget, and this is for the next budget that we have to have. You have to name the positions and put money to the position.
No, yeah,
Well,
but,
I'm sorry, I'm gonna get back to it.
okay.
Because when you looked at the 316 we had in the current budget, I think that's the figure, 316,000. And we decided that, well, we're gonna do this, we'll do this, and not do this, right? So we had money left over. We actually tried to tap that money for something.
Yeah, we did, I think
All right.
this.
I don't know, we tapped that money for something, but it's just, that's moving funds.
Yeah.
All right, so that's always a possibility. So when you say we can just budget the same amount and we can get an administrator, I'm gonna say not so fast. So first of all, you'd have to do the research, what are you gonna pay an administrator, what classified type of administrator you want. If you want a top class administrator, it's not gonna be $109,000. And then you have to fully burden that person, so it's not gonna be that you're gonna put a budget for 109, you're gonna put a budget for closer to 200,000.
Because you're talking the benefits package?
Yeah.
Everything, all in it.
Yeah.
Benefits package, all in it.
Yep.
All right, so let's just say, if we want a top class administrator, it's 200,000. Now we go and say, okay, so what can we do if we don't hire that person right now, but we survive for another year? We've already told y'all, we need a finance person. So get me a top class finance person. If that person, of what caliber they are, comes into this position and does fund view and the budgets and everything else we know that a finance person does, works well with Peacock, gets it all done, we say, right, that door's closed, we got it. Now that person, integrated with these people, is gonna get along with them. If she needed to do something, or if he's gonna have to answer the door, they're gonna do that. That's the kind of person you want, right?
Right.
A personable person works good with the team. So when I'm interviewing for people, I'm going, look, I don't want an outsider coming in here and he has an attitude. I can't have that, because we gotta work together. So you kind of go with quality, quantity, and knowledge to perform the job. So we can post, if y'all want to create and have us take the first stab of creating a finance position that
Financial
incorporates what we're wanting, we can do that. And that can be done tomorrow or the next day.
Who's the woman, did she come in last year? Fulcher, I think. And
Oh, yeah.
Who?
I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
Her name.
She had dark hair. Yeah.
Did we interview her?
Yeah.
Y'all did?
What did she do?
I didn't.
yeah, you did.
You were there. What was her name?
You shot her down.
I shot her down? Oh, you mean, the lady that was, worked for the court system or something, she was older, a little older lady? That's the only one I remember. She went in the back room.
She was like in her 40s, like dark brown hair. She was something in Fulshire. She worked in Fulshire. She just left.
No, not her.
I'm thinking.
Late 40s.
Yeah. Then she came from, she was clerk court, she had a lot of experience with that, but no experience.
So,
Yes, I shot it down, she had no experience with.
I mean, is it out of the realm of potential to have an admin, a Cheyenne, and a financial person? 3 positions. I'm just saying, like.
No, you can't. An administrative person to assist her, I think is a great idea. Because
No.
as we
That's not what
You need city administrator.
City administrator, not just somebody to assist.
We're going
Cheyenne.
too fast.
not my choice, not my choice.
Yeah.
It's council choice, right? So I'm saying, understand what you're asking for when you ask for it. So if you want an administrator and you're ready to do budgets, you gotta throw some money in there. And then
No, I
after you have
understand.
this administrator, they have to be able to do 100% of finance. 100%
No,
of
it's not
whatever we
like
think finance is, and we have to describe that.
No, I said the 3 positions.
She's talking about having
Are you
a
saying that-
finance person, having a city administrator, and having a Cheyenne. Correct?
Correct.
Cheyenne still needs help if you do that.
Well, the city administrator would
The city
hopefully
City
take a lot of
administrator
the
and
stuff that she's
finance
doing.
person could step up. and-
All help, yeah.
Well, the city administrator
so
should take a lot of the stuff that
It's
she's
the
doing
same
already.
thing as if you get a finance person that can help.
Right, but the city administrator, just like she was saying, the more, the municipality of it, the grant, all the things that come
There's no
with.
grant writing.
Why not?
What do you
Why can't
think?
Because
the
Langford does all of that for you, and so does Fort Bend.
They charge us a lot of money to do that, though.
Who? Langford? You're gonna need a grant administrator no matter what, right?
Once you,
No, that's not true, because if you have somebody that's qualified, certified, they can administer the grants in-house.
and we
which
can
will
save,
save
that's what
25%
JJ
of the
did.
damn
We can save
grants.
40% on some of these, because they charge between 10 and 40% to administer.
Okay, so I've just been working with GLO and them to try to get our MITMOD stuff straightened out, right? And I'm gonna tell you, that's not easy work, and it's intense, and you gotta deal with
That's what
multi-levels of
Jennifer did.
people, huh?
Jennifer did that. She did that.
Well, I did it
In-house.
too. So I'm just telling you, it's intense. And so we got this back on board and we're moving forward, right? Take that and give it to an administrator. That's going to be a lot of their time, depending on how many grants we ever qualify for. We may not get another grant to have another disaster. Because there's grants for disasters. Those are
Sure.
easy.
There's lots of grants out there.
And a city administrator knows what they're doing, can find the grant. You're acting like,
No, I'm not acting at all. I'm just
well,
telling
yeah,
you.
you are, the way you're putting it. It's like,
Go to
if they
TML.
are used to doing this,
That's
they
what
can
they-
reach out to
They
different,
know
where
what
you're
they're doing.
learning.
They have a
You're
network.
learning.
What you think
Well, it's $1
Langford
million
does?
on a grant, that's $250,000
What is all that?
a year. So if
Okay,
you
so
have
where's
one
our
that
grant?
looks those up, we just
They're
need
what?
$250,000
The point
for the
in the
city.
right direction.
They're worth their weight.
Really? You need to talk to her. Then we'll bring her in.
I mean,
We'll get a presentation from them on how they do
How do you
grant
think
management.
MITMOD grant happened?
How do I think it happened?
Yeah.
I think Fort Bend County brought it to us.
No.
No.
No,
no, I
No.
don't think
They went
so.
out and
that's
found
not
it.
how it happened.
Fort Bend County brought it to us. I'll bring somebody from Fort Bend County to tell you the process. I'm just sorry. I'm just,
And we'll bring the person in that said that they did it.
And did the research.
what?
Put it all together.
Person at Fort Bend?
No,
The person that worked for Simonton.
that worked for here.
But you can bring that person in if you want to. I don't care. I'm just gonna give you the facts and as I can find them. That's all I'm gonna do.
But, okay, so we're arguing about semantics here.
In a
because-
perfect world, with everything that's coming and growing in Twinwood, which I agree 100% we need to have a hand-in-hand relationship with Twinwood. We need to work together with them, like we've already started doing, like we've been doing, I'm assuming. In a perfect world, I don't know how it would fit into the budget. You asked, I'm just telling you, like, I would love to see a city administrator, a Cheyenne, and a financial person. I don't know if that's feasible. I don't know if there's money that, when I spoke to you and said, can we see a line by line of like what was in the budget this year, what was spent, like what was left over, like kind of see like, hey, we had all this excess of money that weren't used on these line items. What if we said, okay, we're gonna take some of this and move over to this budget line to cover that? I don't know. I have to see like all the numbers we talked about
Okay,
that.
so you weren't in the beginning of the meeting when I talked about cash versus budget? and
No,
where-
sorry.
Where the money, no, you're not sorry, it's okay. So we can have that discussion to explain
Okay.
to you that. And also, you can get that report that tells you what we spent so far, year to date, all of that's there. And so your concept of, well, we move money around, yeah, you can move money around.
No, for sure.
anytime.
No, I'm just saying like into the new budget, like, hey, like, we budgeted 50,000 for this, I'm just making stuff up, and we only spent 20, so we can allocate, let's say, that 30,000 to put it over into payroll.
You
So
did it
then
last
we
year.
can,
You did
yeah.
the same thing last year, we moved money around.
We have apparently an abundance of cash, so we can actually fund that line item just from the cash.
Again,
You
I'm
have to
just
recover
giving you
on
my,
But we're also talking about code enforcement. So.
well, that looks to be a part-time,
That's not gonna be that expensive.
Yeah, I don't-
think. We have to
The
dig
amount
it
of
out.
hours that they'll have to put into it, I'm not talking about municipal court, $1,200, I'm talking about paying that person per hour.
$50 a trip, right?
It ain't gonna be cheap.
well, I wrote mine on my notes
You can
to,
contact the attorney.
to reach out, yeah,
Enforcement.
to kind of
Are
get
you
some
gonna
like
contact the
ideas of
attorney?
where we would be
The
at
one that came
financially.
in and Phil's spot.
But I just think,
that
I don't know, that's just, you asked, that's my 2 cents. I think
Sugar
we need those
Land
two
just
positions.
hired a code enforcer part-time, and he suggested that we pick up the other half of it.
Well, he just said she was really
Thought that-
good.
Yes.
Yeah.
That she was very good.
I have it here on my list, and I'll also, somebody asked to check with BB, so I'll check with them too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if we do code enforcement,
Just to
we
give
can
us
stipulate
some kind of information.
how much we have.
A month.
And then that's how much we can let that person work. We're not gonna get all the
You're not gonna chew the whole elephant at
We're
one
not gonna
time.
get all, yeah, we're not gonna take all the garbage out in one haul. It's gonna be a
Yeah.
long process. And it's gonna be like one little property at a time, and that's better than what we're doing now, which is nothing.
Or it could be just a survey and then we give it legal to start
Stacy, this is, and you can tell me offline, but you want an end game, right? I'm assuming.
I mean, oh, yes.
Someday you're gonna retire from us.
Yes, I do have a full-time job. So,
Right, and you've said in the past, so
Would you
We're
want
looking
this as
for-
your full-time job? I'm just,
Take
put
it
it on the
offline.
spot.
Take it
Oh,
offline.
sorry. I didn't know if it was
What'd
something
you think
that.
about it?
So,
No, it's not, this is no job, I'm
look, if
just
y'all wanna
saying.
pursue that, I can have that
But
conversation.
see,
I got
that's,
you.
that's where I'm with you on this stuff about a city administrator, because I know you work your butt off for here, and I see what you're getting paid, and it's not very much, so my assumption because of that is that the amount of hours that you're having to do here are not full-time.
no, they're not.
So, and it seems to me like you're getting everything done that needs to get done. With few things that are taking longer, right? Because you have it
I'm
streamlined.
not getting everything that I want done, but yes, because not tooting my own horn, but because of my personality and who I am, I can budget my time and figure out, I'm very good at multitasking, so, and prioritizing.
So, but if you're getting our financials done on a part-time basis, that indicates to me that we don't need a full-time financial person, because
If they're only doing what I'm doing, which is basically keeping the lights on, not looking further down the road, not planning, not,
Not participating in investments.
but if we had somebody not full-time, but significantly more full-time than you,
Like a 30-hour a week or something.
a 25-hour a week.
There's a max.
30 hour-
I'm working 30 hours a month
Yeah.
and getting a lot done in 30 hours a month.
So if we had somebody 90 hours a month, that could be, that they could get a lot of the things that are on your wish list accomplished.
Yeah, because there's a lot that comes, day to day that I have to pick up and put down, pick up and put down, and it's frustrating for me, because I know it has to get done, but, at least we're in a better spot than where we were.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And vendors are getting paid, and things are, accounted for,
Right.
they belong, and making,
No,
So it seems to me like for the growth of the city, I'm on page with Angela, for the growth of the city, because Twinwood, they're gonna start developing that 128 acres, and once they start, it's gonna go quick. Now, they're multi-million, they're developing, but I think those sales are gonna take a little bit longer, and they're not inside the city limits. These are gonna be inside the city limits.
you're gonna need a full-time permit person.
Right, for one time.
And I also know,
The city,
I also know that they are looking at expanding the restaurant type of businesses around this area as well. So that with an administrator who understands the municipal stuff and can handle all of that stuff, I think, to me, is a crucial thing with growth.
I agree.
So isn't that where EDC comes into play, and they would have a consultant, and they would manage some of this? That's what they do.
We don't do the
Development.
legal stuff, no.
They do development.
They don't
Just-
manage to
Just try to bring business in, touch stuff, get people to come in.
They don't manage.
No, we don't manage. It's-
So what is there, help me understand what is there to manage? Let's say Twinwood decides they're gonna put 2 restaurants across over there, right?
Then we don't have nothing to do that.
an EDC consultant attracts
Nothing to do with
businesses by creating incentive programs that EDC is going to tax
Programs.
abatements.
You
that
go
kind
out
of
and look
thing.
for people to bring. Bless you.
But I think what they're saying is they don't have anything to do with the administrative
No.
side of it, as far as issuing permits and stuff like
No.
that.
They're
She's like a
strictly
sales rep
for- Yeah.
for the
We
city.
are a sales rep, and
For businesses.
beautification, and adding things that will attract people to come
Right.
in.
Make it pretty so people,
Coming up with
Yes,
agreements,
slap
if someone
lipstick on
wants
the
to come
pig
in,
if
they
they
say,
like
the
it.
city wants this done, you have to plant, this many trees, the city's gonna do this for you, you're building, that kind of stuff is what the consultant does for EDC.
Well, and plus with the city administrator, when development comes in, it's going to be like consulting and talking about infrastructure type things.
Yes.
Which can be crucial. I mean, Twinwood's probably going to fund all their own infrastructure stuff, but part of that would be a role of a city manager, would be to have those discussions about infrastructure.
It's probably time for me to bring this up.
It's 8:30.
Yeah, we're not gonna start that tonight.
just to bring it
That's
up.
not the budget.
How's that?
So you're holding something,
Right, it's a strategic plan that we spent money for with Ron Cox years ago, and it's very good. I've read through this thing, and they did a good job of doing vision, mission, what is it all about? What is our strategy? And so I'm not gonna copy this, but it was done February the 4th, 2020. And so
I was bored during
the
COVID.
numbers, of course they're gonna change, right? But the concept of the vision and everything that was there with that group of people, I looked at them and it looks pretty darn good. They did a good job of studying this, right? And so there's value there. Whether or not, when, by the way, we're supposed to do one. This council was supposed to do in January certain things that even team building is supposed to happen. So we need to look back and say, okay, historically, some things ran real well. And some visions that council over there thought were looking forward, were still valid. And so, if you look at it, Jennifer was in here, Erica was in here, Lori was in this, and others. It's probably worth passing this around and letting y'all kind of review it and see if there's any value to it, or
Isn't
what
that
you want
online?
to do it all with it.
Isn't the strategic plan on the city website?
I have no idea what
Yes.
happened.
I think it is.
I do have an electronic copy though, if you guys
just
want.
send it electronic.
Yeah, I think it's on the website, the city website.
It's possible.
We'll check it out.
But we're talking about the 2027 budget.
It's a good tool to look at for the budget though, because it'll give you project ideas and
I think, my personal opinion is growth needs a city manager,
City administrator.
city administrator.
I agree.
So I'm gonna challenge y'all and say, okay, if you want a city administrator, but you want to keep proceeding that way, write the job description, because it's vital. I'll give you one that's out
There
of date.
is a
The
job
one we-
description
is-
out
It's
there.
out of date. It even has QuickBooks in it.
The one that
I'll
was,
send it to you.
But can you send it to us, and that way we
Of course I
have
will.
something to
That's
look?
what I just said.
that was the current
We'll
one
send
that
it
was
to you.
just
Yes.
us?
She has it, she found it today, we pulled it up again. We'll send it to you, it needs revisions.
The one that just expired a
And
couple
then,
months ago.
and then if you feel that's complete enough or whatever, then y'all decide, you send it to me and say, post this job.
I mean, the ideal thing would be somebody who could do the administration and some financial stuff, but I don't know if you're gonna find that except for,
Just put bonus points.
It's actually in that job description that they would do the financial stuff.
that's why we're not getting.
I would just put support, just support. I wouldn't
Yeah.
necessarily say they need to be able to do all the financials, because that's, yeah.
Supposed to do finance.
Right, and so when you're talking about a small town like
So,
ours,
you do a lot of hiring. I wasn't on the financial side, but I did a lot of job interviews and I saw a bazillion job postings. You've probably done a lot of that, you've probably done a lot, you've probably seen a lot of that.
and I've
So
done
you have
over
a council,
500.
so you have a council and a mayor who are well-versed in hiring and firing and what job postings and descriptions look like. What I don't know is what a typical city administrator job posting looks like, but I can do some research. I bet they're out there everywhere.
All you gotta do, all of y'all are on TML. Sign on to TML, look for job postings for city administrator and read a few of them. And then when you
And
read
we
a
can
few of them, you're
fine-tune
gonna
it for what
get,
we need.
you might find exactly what you think that you want on that and.
And
be
we
able to-
do understand it's not going to be cheap.
TML does have salary ranges based on city size. You can base
So
on
I
city
encourage y'all
size.
to look at
Yeah.
TML.
City size and duties, so
you can also
they'll give you
find-
salary ranges.
Find some contractors that's done it for years and then, because you can find economic development directors do it, you can find city administrators, been there, done that.
You can steal them from somebody else.
Or they retired and they just want to go help here and there to make a little extra money.
Bring a lot of knowledge.
Well, I'm gonna say, if you're gonna get a city administrator, you really wanna get somebody who's gonna stick around for your very reason that you said you
Oh,
want.
for sure. Yeah,
All
yeah.
right? You're not gonna get one that's 65 years old and looking to just make a few more bucks.
That's not what I said. I said contractor.
You can't.
No, I didn't say you're gonna say 65.
And contractors are actually cheaper for the city because
You
typically
can't
you don't
say
have to
that.
pay,
Benefit.
Hey, you're right, I can't discriminate.
You do retirement, but not necessarily.
Recorded doing that.
No, I said you don't want one that's about to retire,
Well, true.
not the age.
All right, so I know I missed quite a bit, and I will schedule a time to meet up with you and go over it, but the only thing that y'all talked about adding to the agenda were these two items, right? I'm talking about this, or what y'all talked about before?
No? Municipal,
code enforcement.
Yeah, I got that. I was here for that one.
City administrator.
Yeah, Yeah.
backfilling financial,
Okay.
which hopefully, I mean, if we found a good city administrator, they should be able to do some financial and take some.
Most, yeah, I was here for that, okay.
The rest of it was mainly cleanup,
Yeah.
where to
Which
properly
we need to
put
do.
things, which
okay.
buckets to put in and stuff like that.
Where, how much, where was moved in.
Kelly has all in her EDC.
She's got it all.
She's got all the money.
I got it all.
You got all the money, and you have a million line items, so that can probably be,
Put some money in each one.
just start spending.
So I guess what I'm saying, it is time. I mean, we need to get serious about what we can and can't do, and I am going to schedule time with A and B and Phil, because we need to go through some things that we need to go through. There hasn't been enough meetings, there hasn't been enough decisions, and we just need to get back on record. Just get back on record. We got the money. I know you thought you had only $79,000, but
Well,
Well, we
generally,
can just tax the hell out of everybody, and we'll be famous.
Only 2%.
That was a joke. It was a joke.
which your tax rate you want to go to?
I don't. I pay more taxes in the city than anybody, so we're not gonna go there.
well, I think generally speaking, for me, we need help. Personnel. We need help, personnel. I'm not, me, it's about, we'll finish the zoning, want to make sure we have enough money to finish that.
Eric, what are all
One way to
the,
go.
oh, sorry.
And
Let him
roads. If
Yeah,
we finally
absolutely.
get the county out here to do more roads, I think we try to add a couple more roads. And if there's any drain, if we got this kind of cash that we need to spend a little on, if Craig knows there's some more drainage needs done, let's look for a
Yeah,
project.
that came at the end of that. Okay.
So,
Starting now, if there's a small
Public Works Department.
Yeah.
so you're on the team with roads, and we still have work to do. And
Yep.
so that's going to be a meeting with me and you and them and commissioners. So we have some things we can accomplish, and
Yeah, let me
I'm
know if
looking
you get
forward
set
to it. Yeah. Just got to get you out of the airport.
You just need to let me know the time, but if we have that to help
It's going to
the
help.
community and the drainage, and if we can do
It's going to
whatever
help.
project
So-
Craig says online.
But the thing we all know right now is we're
About
on
the buyouts,
a
no.
go for the roads and the drainage. And I'm trying to advance the drainage and did some documents that came up, just popped up. I had to write a letter and everything today to send up the line. And if they come back and say, okay, we're ready, we're set, then the next word is go. And then we're going to release the RFPs for the drainage and get that done right away because we're ready.
We have to get bids on that.
Yeah,
Craig,
exactly,
yeah,
RFP.
he's all,
Said
he's
RFP.
ready.
Just
So
leasing
as soon as we get the
as fast as
approval,
They come
right?
and they dig my third ditch so
He
deep I
mentioned
can't
that he
move
was
in
gonna
it.
put something
It's gonna tip my lawnmower over, I'm gonna shoot somebody, 'cause they already did two of them that I can't mow.
I know a few
They're gonna be
people.
my third.
So
Once
Right.
that is next to her.
deep ditch mowing
She's
is
been
not
already
Fort Bend's
maintaining it.
forte at all.
I don't care about their mowing. When they come in,
No, I
they
try to
do,
talk them into doing it for us because
Oh, no, they're not gonna.
they do the canal and they have the equipment.
because that's their property.
It's different.
But when they come in and they start digging my ditches out, and they're like this,
Can't go over 7 degrees.
Okay, we're
So-
7 minutes beyond the time.
I just wanted to know the date deadlines, like,
You
remind.
have it.
It's like, it's in here.
Oh, wait.
Second tab.
I was, okay.
deadlines.
So you have, look, real quick.
Yeah.
Blue pages up front is something we didn't have last year until middle of August.
This
So it
one?
has-
Which
it
is
has
the
rates.
Avalon House.
First.
Avalon.
Oh,
There you go.
got it, okay.
Interesting, read all of that. It's gonna have your NNR, your voter approval rate, all of that's in there.
Okay.
I do have, was there any reason why we couldn't get this before tonight?
I didn't even have the blue pages until
Blue
today.
pages, that's this pages, but what, the rest of this?
Yeah, I didn't get any of that.
So if we, the hearing and dates and stuff like that, I would read through it because I was ready for the budget meeting.
Well, you still, you have time. We do have time, and we're
You
looking
already walked
at
through it, I
the dates.
don't need to read it again.
So,
I'm talking about all this, yes, with the back part we got, yeah, and I did, that's what I had.
Right, we gave everybody some information beforehand.
I just love this stuff.
Huh?
I just said, if you have
We saw
any more
the
stuff
number.
like
But they're
this,
just
your
repeated last
dates and
year.
times and stuff,
Okay.
we don't have, listen.
So, okay.
No, with-
If you don't, and it's the day.
No, sometimes it's a report I have to run, or I have to call Stacy, say, we're gonna do this, but I need to get.
Okay.
Some of this is just finding the time.
Okay.
You know, if you had more help, you'd find time, Eric.
I'm putting in 10 to 12 hours a day, so.
Thank you for saying.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So anyway,
Spend a little more because you're free.
Our next
You
meeting,
can think I'm free.
next Tuesday is another one of these, right? I know we
Next date?
I will tell you,
August 4th.
next week for
August
me.
4th. Yeah.
Did we set that?
Yeah, at
Yes.
the council meeting.
Because next week for me is anniversary week.
Yeah, you said that. You said, I'll be there, but I'll be
try.
crazy because it was
Yes.
anniversary week. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's a budget workshop next week.
Yes.
Okay,
At
just making
6:30 or
sure.
5:30?
Say again, I'm sorry?
How soon can y'all get here?
6:30? What's the time?
And we can't, I can come
Typically
earlier.
6:30, but if everybody could get here at 5:30.
Or
that
6.
would be great.
Somehow, when I was on the East Coast time, when I put some stuff in my phone,
Next
it
Tuesday.
come up East Coast time.
The 4th.
Yeah, because if your phone changes time. you-
That's why I
Yeah,
said we
so-
can't play
so I got
bingo
two,
for the next
5:30,
2
6:30.
Tuesdays.
No,
Because
come
we
early.
had this one
What's
and
up?
I mean,
next
Justin,
Tuesday.
you're the one who's like working like crazy, and you too. Can y'all get here earlier,
Monday.
Tuesday?
Wait,
Yes,
have
I
we
can.
posted that?
As we
Okay,
posted
tomorrow.
That's how it's posted.
So if y'all want to change the time, you gotta do it now, because tomorrow it gets posted.
Can anybody come at 5:30?
I'm pretty sure
You sure?
I can just go take my schedule. so.
I could do...
5:30 is a little hard for me.
because she's coming from Houston.
I'm coming from Houston.
Okay.
6?
What works for you?
I can do 6.
Okay.
I can do 6 for sure.
So,
6?
it will be considered a special meeting, so we have to have 4, or can we?
That one will actually be a regular meeting because it's on our normal first Tuesday of the month. So that one, three will be a quorum, yes.
Three's a quorum.
Okay.
Now, what I'd like feedback on is if there's anything specific y'all want me to make sure we cover in that meeting, because you got data now, you have a lot of data. And if you have
Should
any
you
questions or things that you really want to make sure I have on that
Oh, I did
agenda,
put it on
because
there.
my agenda is you have the budget, we're going to start drilling down in it and making modifications. If you have project information, you need to bring it, because we're going to run sharp. Project information, when you read that other handout I gave you, you got to fill those things out and know what you're going to spend it, when you're going to spend it, and how you're going to do it. Because it has to go into that to be proper.
And you want the data, so you might know the neighborhood report, I don't know what it's called, where you show how much you spent and what are your dollars for, how much extra you had or how much over.
Yeah, just like easy line item, yeah.
That's the working budget.
Yeah.
You actually have one version of it in there.
So is
In
there
here?
anything-
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just did, I haven't looked through here
I
yet.
said there was a few changes in here from coming
Okay.
from you and Mayor's budget. Is there anything in here you're eyeballing that you
What
want?
is this?
It's $25,000.
I'm not talking about specific employees, I'm talking about
This
something.
number's
So-
but what is this
If I
travel
was-
and training for versus what's this one for?
Excessive amounts of money.
Excuse me. So
Yeah.
those are things we need to be bringing up.
So Andy asked me, was there anything specific that I want to add into the budget for next year? And I've been thinking about that because here's the issue. We already know we're going to be getting some property, right? And so we already know we're going to have meetings and decide how and what and where. So it's important to me to know that we're all on the same page as to put money aside to in the budget for anything that might happen with that property and to get it all done. So that's one thing. So whether we throw it in Public Works or we throw it anywhere else, there's going to be some costs.
That's in addition to these, to the ones that you already put in here?
So,
Which one's already put in there?
Because there's additional costs.
Yeah, I put some figures in, but we'd have to go back to the notes and we'll do that. We'll do that.
I was just wondering if you'd already put those in here, or if it's additional to this, what we were just talking about, for the mowing,
So where did you get the additional information?
right from your sheet.
so would it be
Should've already been had.
possible before next week?
But when we pull it up there, you're going to see the little cog wheel.
This page like this,
Cogs.
to put the
And then we're going to have a note
actuals?
on the side that I put there, and that's going to be where we're going to say that I needed this information.
That's the chart of accounts?
As far as doing something brand new,
So it has the current, and I think that was like the budget from last year, or is that actually what,
And the reason
what
why-
is the actual
We
expenditures?
budgeted last year, and this is what he's just copying over.
We probably have to what?
all right, well, y'all need to know that.
And art.
Go know you were.
No new.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me what you want.
So,
I wanna
and I'm-
make the- I wanna
and it
make-
may be in our book, and you can tell me if it is. If we have all of these, all of this information here, for us to start figuring out if we want to keep money there, if we want to move it, would be, how much have we actually spent?
That's what I was
Yeah,
saying.
but it's year to date.
What's
Yeah,
what's
that's
the
the
year?
year-to-date
Yes.
number.
That's not in here.
We'll give you that, but it's still going to be 2 months short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think on some things that will be obvious. Other things like technology, I mean, we've probably spent the majority of that budget that we're going to spend because the big project is done and it's paid for.
Actually, yes, that's done.
So incoming ad valorem and sales tax will all be, they're rotating.
I didn't pay the last payment because I'm not totally happy.
Franchise fees, we know we have another, I mean, I can do math, I can do 12 divided by 10.
But that's exactly what I asked for as well, so he knows that that's, he said he'll put it up on the screen where we can see like the work budget,
Yeah, but if
what's left over.
If we can have just these
We will.
few pages
We heard you.
with that information in
Year-to-date, she
there.
wants year-to-date budget.
I'm gonna play around tomorrow with what I can and can't do. I'm also gonna look at a transaction detail report, because that gives you like very detailed, specific, what came out of there and when. I'm gonna have
When it
to,
produces.
I'm gonna have to play with
If it's like a lot of work, then we can do it when we get here.
done?
But if it's not,
Yeah,
then
no.
it'd be nice for us to like try to start to figure out if there's big buckets of, mostly all the little stuff, I don't really care, but if there's big buckets that are being allocated and spent or allocated and not spent, or allocated and overspent,
I'll
I
play
think
around
those are
with
places that we
tomorrow.
should know about.
So, Susan, there's so many budget reports as possible, and there's also so many GL reports, and there's accounts payable reports. We can tell you just about anything that's in front of you,
Yeah,
100%.
I just kind of want this
Yeah.
per big category and the numbers that are already spent.
I mean,
Got it.
Ben can do that.
So I ran that report, and
If that's the case, then don't, if it's onerous, then don't worry about it. We'll
I'll
dig
just see
through
what we
when we
can
get
do. We'll figure it out.
That was like,
we can do it.
Okay.
Exactly what she's asking for, we can do it. It's
It
in
might
front
just
of
be
you.
most of the big ticket.
But we don't want to produce, the last thing, we don't, excuse me.
Sorry.
We don't want to produce a lot of paper for you.
No, no.
Okay, that's why you have a thin notebook, and the reason is, we want to communicate with you via email, and all of you have an email account at SimontonTexas.gov. If you haven't signed on and haven't put your password in, I ask you to do that, because that's going to save us
Did I get an
time.
email telling you that I have that?
I did.
Can't get it to work? Cheyenne,
Do you have an iPhone, Andy?
Yes.
Perry at SimontonTexas.gov, he says it's not working, so we need to get
When
it
did
pressed.
we get those
You have to
emails?
actually put the Outlook app
When did you
on.
get this?
You can't go through your
Last week?
email and add an email.
Did it come from
I
Cheyenne?
have Outlook on there. I'll play around with it.
So we'll help you, we can get it pressed, they'll.
you should be able to go through.
Did it come from Cheyenne?
No, because my work email is Outlook and it would not let
I
me do
sent you
it.
something
I actually
today.
had to
All of y'all
put the
want
app on.
Yes, it's because those they only have certain licenses on them, and it's the
Exchange license.
The exchange license only, so that's when I told you the app, you have to, if you're gonna put it on your phone, you actually have to download the Outlook app.
So
Oh, I have
when
the app.
did-
That's my normal
When did you
email.
send that? Because I don't have an email from you for about
That's not
having
gonna work
a
I don't know.
city
It
email.
wouldn't
Hold on your phone.
because that's what my work email is through Outlook. So I had to actually download the app
I have the app.
Updated address.
and
No,
do it.
I haven't
We'll
tried
resend
it.
it,
I just haven't tried it.
Yeah, I can send it to you
just
again.
resend it.
Dudes, I don't have Outlook on my phone for that very reason.
I sent it on
If
Thursday.
I'm not working, I'm not working.
Well, it's my personal email is
the
Outlook,
20
so I have the
You
app.
know why?
I don't have it.
I'll give, it's sent to your Simon's email, that's why.
Yeah.
And my Outlook says it
Here's
doesn't.
your new email, and go through it to find it.
Let me
Right.
make sure that I didn't do that with the rest of you guys, too.
I'm on, so you don't have to worry about me.
Justin's on, right?
You
No, I
guys,
haven't done it yet.
but you have your information?
I've got my
Okay.
information, I just haven't set it up.
Yeah, my Outlook wouldn't let me put anything, wouldn't let me put .gov.
I will,
So that's what happened to me originally.
Wouldn't let you put .gov.
And then I put the Outlook app on and I didn't have any problems at all.
Oh, I have to have Outlook to do that?
Re-download.
you just download the app on your phone, the Outlook app.
Yeah.
That's what I had when I worked for BP. I deleted all that stuff.
I
Time to go back to
will
work.
look at yours tomorrow, Andy.
I'm way too busy.
Angela, did you get yours?
I got it, I just haven't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to make
okay.
sure y'all have the information you need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I just
so-
forwarded it to you, so you
Thank
should
you.
have it now. I'm like, I know I did it. I'm not
I didn't see that.
Okay, so I'm just going through a lot.
I'm gonna look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Susan, second Andy. Any opposition? Hearing none, we're gonna proceed to vote. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed?